decide someone's whole life. Yeah, I'm pro-God, pro-guns, and I'm pro-life.
I'm pro-life, pro-life, I'm pro-life. I told you about 1,000,000 times. Why you gotta take those kids? Why you gotta end them before they begin? Don't you know that your little baby has soul? Every abortion is letting them go. There goes my baby, there goes my heart and my soul. There goes the future, we letting you go. We just cannot see the vision. Mama cannot see why you should keep living. She just going through life, perfectly okay with letting you die. She just painting her nails and saying, oh well, if all else fails, we'll send him to hell. Yeah, I know that this sounds very gruesome. Yeah, I know you tear up when we lose them. People are selfish and people are wicked, not understanding the cost of decisions. If you wanna play the most dangerous game, then gamble with your life like binary fission. That's the way of reproduction. Now give it a deconstruction. One cell becomes 2, then 4, then 8, and before you know the baby's got a beating heart to break. Then a couple months and now the little baby got a brain. So tell me how that is your body when the baby kills the pain, or tell me how that is your body when the baby's listening. So excited to see the world, just a little baby girl, so let her have your whole life. And no one's rather sacrificing.
Yeah, I'm pro-God and I'm pro-life, and I'm pro-guns, and you know that I am pro-life. I'm pro-life, yeah, I'm pro-life.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages from all across the world. My name is Chandler Crump, and welcome back to another episode of Crump Live right now here on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, and a few other places. We are live today, November 8th, 2022, and it is a momentous, insane, crazy, big occasion because today is the 2022 midterm elections, which means that gubernatorial offices, Senate offices, and every single House office is up for grabs, and in some states, various Senate and gubernatorial offices. Not every state, but a good amount of states, especially ones that we really want to be paying attention to right now. And actually, just now at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a few new states that have joined those that have already closed so far. We have a helpful, and it's rare that I'll put this in the same sentence, but helpful and New York Times article sort of thing here that is graphing out when states have their polls closed. So at 6 p.m. we had, I believe, West Virginia, and I think this one is Illinois. I might have that wrong. Those states in this area always get me tripped up, but we have 2 states that were closed so far at 6 p.m. And now at 7 p.m. we have New Hampshire, Vermont, Virginia, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida that just closed. We have some big things to be jumping into as people will start making their calls and people will start calling elections as more and more states start to go through. The biggest state we're watching right now, obviously, is Georgia. Right now, it's the biggest swing state, as you can say, with some of the biggest national and statewide elections we've seen, with Stacey Abrams versus Brian Kemp for the gubernatorial and Herschel Walker versus Raphael Warnock for the Senate election. Senatorial, I don't know if that's the word for it, but either way, big things happening right now. We have NBC and Fox, which are going to be giving us live results as they come in. Let's see as these votes start to come through. As you can see here, let me see if I can get to a specific area. So this is Georgia right now with 0.63% of the votes in. And Raphael Warnock immediately jumps off with a strong lead with 22,000 votes immediately already casted and counted for him. But of course, the polls have been closed for 3 minutes now, and they can finally start reporting and counting. So we're going to keep an eye on things. Herschel Walker at 25%. What a lot of polls have been saying is that they believe Herschel Walker will maybe either take Raphael Warnock to a runoff with Herschel in the lead, or he might win outright. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on that. Let's also take a look and see if we have any information on Florida so far. That's the senatorial right there. Nothing from that yet. Key House races. We're not interested in House races. Can I get key gubernatorials here? Where's the button for that? Governors. There we go. Okay, so this will take us to take a look at things with gubernatorial elections. And as you can see here, there's obviously going to be an early Democrat tilt. I don't really understand how it works or why that is that way. But Charlie Crist leads Ron DeSantis, not as distantly as Warnock to Walker. I get those two confused, both W names. But Charlie Crist at 250,000 votes to Ron DeSantis only about at 150,000. So a 100,000 vote lead immediately out of the gate with polls that are not even closed yet. That's interesting. I don't know why they're already reporting. Polls closed in Florida. That's off. It said here that the polls close in Florida at 7. So either somebody's confused. Okay, maybe I think some parts of Florida's polls close at 7 and some parts close at 8. That might be it. Either way, results are already coming through, and once a result gets put in here, it's pretty likely that it's real, at least insofar as what they want us to believe. So obviously a big lead from Crist at the start. I don't really understand the Democrats running out the gate so much faster. And Stacey Abrams, it's already coming through. Hold on. Let me make sure of this. Okay. All right, it's already coming through as I thought. It is time zone, so probably the panhandle still has until about 8. And if we actually look at our sheet here, our helpful handy dandy sheet, it actually has a little division here for Florida. So I guess New York Times blundered it by saying all of Florida closes at 7 when it's probably a part of it that closes at 8. And as you can see here, other states that close at 8 include various East Coast states and then a lot of the central states as well, including Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, a few others that we're going to be keeping an eye on. Mostly Texas, though, because those are some of the biggest races. A lot of the smaller key races aren't worthy of keeping a close eye on, if you know what I'm saying, because we're really looking at the ones that are more up in the air, that may actually have an effect on the Biden administration's ability to pass and enforce whatever they want. So this is going to be a very big thing to keep an eye out for as this comes through. As you guys know, I've covered quite a few elections on this channel before, and what we do is we kind of go through a few news stories we have that pertain to the election, but always be jumping back in to keep an eye on things. And quickly, before we start going through our first little round of news stories, I want to keep an eye and check in on some various races in Florida. Okay, that's helpful. So Florida 1, doesn't look like any of these House races are coming through quite yet, but I want to keep an eye on Florida 13 with Anna Paulina Luna, the Trump-endorsed candidate there. Florida 19 with Byron Donalds, I doubt that's going anywhere, but there's plenty of races to look at in Florida on the House level. We're going to be going through all of that, so expect extensive deep diving about all of that. Cece says, I'm about to vote now. It's 6:07 p.m. here. Ooh, wait, Cece, you're in the Florida Panhandle? Let's go. We still have people watching right now that are about to go and vote. That's really fun. Okay, cool stuff. All right, we're going to keep an eye on things as more places close. Thank you for the on-the-ground coverage and updates, and it is indeed 6:07 over there in Panhandle, Florida. Y'all weirdos with Central Time. All right, let's jump into some news, because obviously you guys, if you even turned on Twitter or the internet today, you will know good and well that there is some madness happening in Arizona right now. Also in Pennsylvania, but some madness happening in Arizona. I pulled this one up first because I think it's best to hear from the people first. 11/7/35 North Scottsdale Road. Machines are down all over the place. Many couldn't even get their votes counted. This is happening just Maricopa County, not just at this location. Why is this happening? So let's take a look here.
I don't even believe we are at this location and their voting machines are not working properly. They don't count the ballots. You go in to register, they give you a ballot, which takes like 20 minutes, which is ridiculous. You go in, you do your voting, you go in, you give it into the machine and it won't take it. It says misread ballot.
Wow.
Every single person in there is getting a misread ballot. Oh, no. So now they have to drop them into the box, so hand counted, supposedly hand counted. Yeah. My husband's done 2 ballots. He had to do a canceled ballot. The second ballot he went in to vote, same thing. So every person in that line now that's standing there is not going to get counted properly that we don't know.
So there have been a lot of big things coming out of Arizona with a lot of people speaking up, including, actually, I'll play it real quick, video from President Trump. He actually taped together a video. Hold on, do I have it here? I thought I had it already. Okay, well, I'll find it real quick because I think it's important for you guys to see, from the Trump War Room. They posted it up earlier. I could have sworn I put it on my list here. The Trump War Room, which is like the only Trump account still on Twitter, actually made a video saying to the great people of Arizona, don't leave the line until you vote.
To the great people of Arizona, Maricopa County in particular, don't leave your line. Stay where you are. They say that the machines aren't working. They say that they're running out of paper in different locations throughout different states. There's a lot of bad things going on. Stay online. Do not leave. I know you don't want to be there as long as they're going to try and force you. They want to delay you out of voting, and you cannot let them delay you out of voting. So To the people of Arizona in particular, because that's the one that's come up right now, stay online, don't leave. Already a lot of people have left, and it's very, very unfair what's going on. Maricopa County, don't leave. Stay there.
So madness like this is what's making a lot of people wonder, what the heck is going on? Did these people just forget there's an election going on? Vote counting machine snafu hits Maricopa County, Arizona on election day. Vote counting machines at about a fifth of polling locations in Arizona's most populous county could not read ballots cast in the midterm elections Tuesday morning. About 20% of the locations out there where there's an issue with the tabulator were some of the ballots that after people had voted them, they try and run them through the tabulator and they're not going through. Long lines to vote were reported throughout the county early Tuesday as election officials at roughly 45 of the county's 223 vote centers scrambled to make sense of the issue. If there are long lines at the location you're at or issues with the tabulator, if you would prefer to go to another location, you can do that. It doesn't matter where you go as long as you're a registered voter here in Maricopa County, is what they claim. However, I've received conflicting information about that, so I can't 100% confirm that to be true. This will function much like early voting functions, in that we would get your ballot back. Once we've signature verified it, we would send it to our central tabulators. Ballots that are at the central location will already be signature verified, so we won't need to confirm identity, but we will central tabulate them. This is actually what the majority of Arizona counties do on election day all the time. The county, which includes the Phoenix, Mesa, Chandler metropolitan area, had about 2.4 million active voters as of Tuesday, according to the Elections Department, and 44,000 people had cast ballots in person by 11 a.m., which sounds almost like a low number to me, but hey, that's just what happens. So big things coming out of Arizona are making a lot of people extremely concerned as to what the heck is going on and why are people not having their votes counted? Why are these machines failing? And why are we still using them in the first place? That's the bigger question that even more people are asking themselves after what happened in 2020. We had an entire forensic audit attempt to happen in Maricopa County in Arizona the last cycle, and it seems like nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. AO26 says, hold the line, AZ. Renee says, won't be watching any election coverage on Fox News. There you go. That gets a laugh out of me. We'll be using a little bit of Fox News because their numbers are good. And speaking of that, we're going to check back in soon. But I mean, I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention. I know I have a good amount of Arizonan viewers, probably some of them that are not watching right now because they're having to still stand in line. And keep in mind, if we refer to our chart once again, the polls don't close in Arizona until 9 p.m. Eastern, which is, and if we switch that to, I think, Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific time, I believe they're in Pacific time, or if they're in Mountain time, 7 p.m. their time. So yeah, I think they're in Mountain time because, yeah, okay, there's the line right there. So they're in Mountain time. So their polls don't close until 7 p.m. then, and that for us, that's going to be 9 p.m., which is about 2 hours from now. So they still have a little bit of time, and obviously if you're still standing in line, even after the polls close, you could still have your vote counted. You always hear politicians saying, don't leave the line, don't leave the line. Even Trump was just saying it, even though he was talking about fraud. It is true that, or not fraud, but, you know, the insane, weird things that are happening. I won't call it fraud yet. You know, I'll be careful this time. I'll be careful. But still, very true. People need to be as careful as possible and make sure you don't leave the line. Make sure you don't. All right, let's check back in with some of the results we have coming in as more and more things are beginning to be called, including this race, which is actually being ranked as too early to call. However, we do have some races to call. First and foremost, if I can pull it up here in Georgia, we're going to go to the Decision Desk HQ account on Twitter, because as you guys know, they're a great one. They post a lot of these things. Decision Desk has already begun to call quite a few races. In South Carolina, Tim Scott is the projected winner to hold on to his Senate seat. We'll give him that a round of applause. Rand Paul is projected to hold on in Kentucky. And my favorite, one of my favorite representatives in Congress ever, Marjorie Taylor Greene, obviously will be holding on to her seat. To the 14th Congressional District, but we also have a few Democrats holding on as well, and anything else. Nope, no more calls. So obviously in Georgia and South Carolina, they're going to make a few calls as well as Kentucky. We're going to keep an eye on things, but let's take a quick check at some of these numbers. So we're going to go to Senate. I want to take a look at the Senate race in Georgia first. So if we go to, Alaska. Yeah, I've heard a bit about Lisa Murkowski and somebody said something else. Okay, let's go to Georgia. So Warnock is still ahead with 7% of the votes now in. Herschel Walker only at 96,000, but of course you have to remember the rural counties are quite a bit slower at tabulating the numbers, and the rural counties are going to be heavily Republican, so that's where a lot of those numbers are going to be coming through. If we actually can pull up a map, I think this one might have a map. I don't know, I might have to go a little deeper. I know some websites where I can find a map, but I'll keep an eye out for that. Let's go and see if NBC has a map for us. So here we go. So if we're in, so this quantifies exactly what I was saying. So a lot of these metropolitan areas are going to be the areas in which Warnock is already beginning to get a lot of votes counting in. Warnock is at 75% coming from Fulton County. Obviously, that's what we expect. And a lot of counties have not even begun to report even a slight bit yet. Floyd, wow, okay, that's interesting. 4.5% in, and Fulton is already at 63% in right there. So hey, at least they get their votes in fast enough. They'll do that. But a lot of these rural counties don't have many votes to count yet, but already are showing heavily for Warnock. You're going to see a lot of this fill in with red, with only various small blue strongholds. So the question about Georgia, because it's such a unique state, it's one of the states that has a runoff. If either one of these candidates fails to get above 50%, or both of these candidates fail to get above 50%, that is going to drag it to a runoff. And that is what's going to bring it all the way till, I believe, December, in which they'll have to go up against each other. Again, that's what happened in Georgia last time, which is why in January of 2021, we had the vote between Warnock and Loeffler and Ossoff and Perdue. But now it's looking like, based on polls, it is a lot more likely that it will not go to a runoff. However, we're going to keep an eye on this as, it looks like with NBC, Herschel Walker has actually jumped a good bit to 30%, with Warnock starting to lose that edge of lead he already had. So 68.1 to Walker at 30%. They are now closing the gap betwixt each other. We're going to keep an eye on that. Herschel just jumped above 100,000 over here with 8% of the votes in. But let's move on to check out on some other states. Let's take another quick look at Florida. I am really interested to see this race right here. Now, this one, although I haven't heard as much about it, between Marco Rubio and Val Demings, has also been listed as a interesting race to keep an eye on. And as you can see here, they are dueling. The numbers are reporting in fast, and so there you go. It just settled on 1.1 for Marco and 1 million for Val Demings, 50% to 48%, and that is with a quarter of the vote in. So it is still a nail biter in Florida for the Senate race right there between Marco Rubio and Val Demings. This is going to be fun. It's going to be very, very interesting. Marco Rubio has, I'm sure, ran a great campaign, but as normal, Val Demings and a lot of the Democrats in Florida aren't without their support. They are not without their support. Let's actually switch over to the gubernatorial mode real quick and see if we can check on how that crisp lead is holding up. Because, I mean, if Marco Rubio is holding his own against Val Demings with only maybe about 80% of the state counted so far due to the panhandle not being quite over yet, I want to see how that gubernatorial is holding up. So let's take a look here and set it to Florida. And there we go. Oh, Charlie Crist, he's doing his best. He's putting up a good fight. And keep in mind, I don't believe Florida has any runoff system, so it's not really a nail biter. It's gonna just be keeping an eye on things. But Ron DeSantis has taken that lead back, and 1.665 to 1.544, 51% to 47%, and it looks like it's going to be expanding, and that is with 35% of the vote counted so far in the mainland of Florida. Oh, more numbers coming through. Are we going to see any exchanging of hands? It's not looking like it so far. All right, let's move on to some other states as well. I want to check in on some House races actually in Florida. Okay. Oh, so far, 3 House races have already been called for Republicans by Fox, and I believe that's going to be the same ones that we already knew about in Georgia. Like, let's see here. Has Marjorie been called here? And polls did close at 7 already. Okay, it doesn't look like Fox has caught up with this yet, but it was Decision Desk, which is, I believe, ran by NBC, that has already called this. And let's take a quick refresh and see if they've got anything new for us here yet before we check in on some other stories. Yep, so estimated 2% in. Ron DeSantis. Okay, so with Decision Desk, they had a lead with Ron DeSantis. I didn't see that. I saw Charlie Crist with a strong lead, but that was 8 minutes ago, so it might have changed within that time. And then here's also a strong lead with Marco and Val. But of course, these are older numbers. We are seeing much heavier numbers coming through. And okay, we now have an update on Georgia. Fox has finally updated it. Polls are closed in Georgia as they did now 20 minutes ago. Obviously, Georgia 14 is going to be quite slow in counting their votes, but I'm sure in the metropolitan area where Marcus Flowers, I put metropolitan in heavy quotes, where Flowers would definitely be having a lot more votes. That's what's counting in so far. So even though Marcus Flowers is in the lead, Marjorie Taylor Greene is the incumbent, and it's Georgia 14. So that's why, although Fox hasn't called it yet, Decision Desk has, and we're going to see those numbers start to come through even sooner. I want to check in on South Carolina real quick as well. I feel like we might see something very similar in that with the Senate race between Tim Scott and whoever he's running against. I can't even bother to remember. But let's see if we could check in on South Carolina right here. Oh, man. Okay, so this is only with 0.4% of the vote in so far, and Fox has already agreed with that calling of Tim Scott for winning that race, and Tim Scott's been a long-time senator from that place, so it's not much of a surprise, but it is still fascinating to see not only is that call of Tim Scott, but he's actually in the lead, too, although, of course, that is still to take a grain of salt, 0.4% of the race in so far. So as we keep an eye out on things, we approach the 7:30 mark in which more states are going to be joining that list of states that are done. That would be North Carolina, I believe. Oh, no, this is West Virginia right here. I accidentally called. Okay, this is Kentucky that closed at 6, not West Virginia. So there's West Virginia right there. And then the big one right here is Ohio. So when Ohio is called at 7:30, or I should say when Ohio closes at 7:30, we're going to be keeping an eye on that race between J.D. Vance and who is he running against? Oh, yeah, Tim Ryan. So many names to remember, but I think I've got it. It is going to be very interesting because a lot of people have ranked that as maybe lean R and maybe even toss up, which will be very, very interesting. Oh, it looks like we already have results from Indiana. It looks like Todd Young, the incumbent, is going to be holding on to that Senate seat. That's not really out of what was expected. Most people were pretty solid on that, but we've got some counties here with already 15% or 15,000 votes in. And how much is in? And that is only 8% of the expected vote in. So yeah, a lot of these hard red states are already going to begin calling that. But obviously, we're going to be keeping an eye on this stuff, man. I don't know. Georgia, it said they're saying Kentucky's too early to call, but that's going Rand Paul. Come on, Fox. All right. I remember you called Virginia like right when Trump was far in the lead last time. Don't play games with us, fuck. Oh, they just called it. Okay. All right. Well, they heard me. They said, all right, Chandler, you're right. All right, we're going to get back to some stories in a second, but I want to check in on how y'all are doing in the chat. I've been droning through the numbers a lot, and that's going to be a real problem. So if you want to make sure you actually can send a message to me and I actually see it, I want to remind you guys, we are running a live chat over on Locals right now. So if you want to chat with me without any doubt that I'll see it, make sure you join us here on our Locals community. I'll throw that on screen real quick. We have our Locals live chat running right now. So if you just go to chandlercrump.locals.com and then join the chat right here, you can participate. I have it dedicated on this screen over here, so I'm always looking at it. So if you want to join our live chat, it is available for you right now. How you guys doing though? How are you feeling? I know a lot of y'all are very, very nervous. Exodus says, let's go Herschel Walker. We'll be checking in on him in a minute. Thick Chris says, Rubio is swamp, RMFE. And he also says, God bless DeSantis. So true. Bradley says, my voting machine glitched this morning, lol. I kid you not. Holy crap. Tommy says, makes no difference the color of the wave. The great reset is still happening. I understand that. And Exodus says, scam central and no one's buying it. Probably talking about Arizona right there. I wouldn't doubt that either. All right, we're gonna jump into some more weird, scammy things happening right now before we jump back in on some of the numbers real quick. And we're going to be taking our attention to Pennsylvania. And quick reminder, Pennsylvania appears to be one of the states that closes at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is in about 38 minutes from now to the dot. So we'll be checking in on Pennsylvania at the top of the hour. We've got 7 minutes until Ohio and other states are closing, so we're going to get through these stories real quick here. We have news out of Pennsylvania that polling hours are now being extended in one of the counties due to a paper shortage.
Stop the cap.
You can't keep getting away with it! You can't keep getting away with it!
Ah, man, I sure haven't heard this before. Got to keep the whistle wet, you know? Polling hours extended in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, amid a paper shortage. On Tuesday, election officials in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania filed an emergency petition to extend voting hours after it was discovered that machines at many of the polling stations were low on paper. A judge promptly granted their request, extending the voting hours from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. In her order, Judge Lisa S. Gelb of the Luzerne County Court of Common Pleas stated that the constitutional right to vote requires an extension of the voting hours, noting that citizens, through no fault of their own, were disenfranchised and denied the fundamental right to vote. The election officials explained in their petition that upon arriving at the polling locations to set up machines on Election Day, poll workers at the county polling locations discovered that the voting machines were seriously deficient of paper to print out the ballot after the voter uses the machine to vote. As the Hill reports, officials are attempting to obtain the paper to supply all of the polling locations sufficiently. However, no timeline has been given as to when things will be in order. It reminds me a whole lot of when a certain pipe burst. Oh my gosh. According to Fox News, Luzerne County is a pivot county, having voted Democrat during the Obama years, then turning red for Trump, and remaining as such since then. I want to do something right here real quick, actually. I want to go to, let's say, Senate, and then switch it to Pennsylvania. That'll be right down here. And then see if we can pull up a county by county map. I think that's NBC that allows me to do that. Let me take a look here. So we go to down here with Pennsylvania. There it is. So we go to Pennsylvania. We could take a look at a lot of these counties. And let me see. And that county is called, what county again? It's Luzerne. So we'll take a quick run through here, see if we can find Luzerne County. Is this a big county? You know what we'll do? We'll go back to a previous year. We'll go to, say, 20. See if we could go to 2020. Because I think they keep a lot of these things archived. Oh, hold on. 2020 page. I want to see how many votes were counted in 2020. So there we go. We found the 2020 page. And we go to Pennsylvania. Or can we go to Pennsylvania, please? Where is that? Because I want to see how many votes were cast in 2020 around this time. And people are saying that these numbers might be some of the highest midterm numbers we've ever seen, but also very, very high. So for a midterm, but also comparable to a presidential election. Let me look up real quick where Luzerne County is so I can get a better idea of it, and I can get these numbers for you guys. So Luzerne County is near a town called Hazleton, or it has a town called Hazleton in it. Okay, it's near the top right, like the third or so state from there, or county from there. Okay, so let's go back to our thing we have here. So they have a county called Wyoming. That's funny. Okay, so it's right here-ish. Luzerne. Okay, so there it is. Wow. So 86,000 plus 64,000 votes. So that's well over 100,000, closer to 200,000 votes that are in that county. Obviously very pivotal, especially for these races that are decided by popular vote, like Senate and gubernatorial ones. This could be big. And for a state that went through Joe Biden in 2020 by a perfect 50%, ain't that something? Luzerne would be a very important county for a red candidate like Dr. Oz or, what's his name, Mastriano to hold on to. And if we take a look at how things are now in that county, obviously none of the votes are coming in through yet, but this is now going to be joining one of the counties that is going to take a lot longer to get those votes in. Despite the fact that in every other county, polls are going to be closing at 8 p.m., this county is going to be closing at 10 p.m. So that really extends things out. So it turns it from a East Coast all the way to as bad as Nevada. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? All right, we've got some election wizard things to jump into. Price's MSNBC reaction. We'll look at that later. I've got some things like that on the list already. Let's take a quick look at how things are. We have now 3 minutes until some more polls close in, journal please, Ohio and West Virginia and North Carolina. I'm very excited to see that. I don't know if all those states, I know Ohio has a Senate seat up. I don't know if West Virginia or North Carolina do. Let's check real quick. Okay, so it doesn't look like Ohio, or it doesn't look like West Virginia or Virginia or North Carolina. Oh no, North Carolina does have one. Yep, Ted Budd and Cherry Beasley. Okay, but not West Virginia. Only Ohio and North Carolina. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I don't know if either of them have gubernatorials as well. Let's take another look here. Governor. Okay, so Ohio is up for governor this year as well. I haven't heard much about that race. Who's in it? We have Mike DeWine versus Nan Whaley. Okay, got it. And he's the incumbent. All right, that should be interesting to keep an eye out for. You never know. I'm trying to make sure I'm as educated as I can on all these races because upsets can come from any direction. You never know. We now have 2 minutes until the polls close in these new states. So let's take another quick through. Let me keep this here. Another quick look at Georgia real quick. See if there's any new callings, any breaking news that may or may not need to be reported before we shift our focus to some other states that are just dropping. So let's take a look at Georgia. We still have now 8.45% of the vote in. I think that's an old number. So let's check on NBC and see if they have anything new. It's good to have multiple of these places together just in case. All right, so... Okay, got it. So we have 60.5% for Warnock, 38.1% for Walker, and that is at 12% of the vote in. We now have more of these counties starting to speckle in, and just as I said they would, although some of these counties are looking blue, but that's because they're very low in. I think more of those city-like areas are going to be a problem. Oh my gosh, I gotta get these out of here. Hold on. There you go. Get that out of here. Oh, and more of these are starting to speckle in as we go. Very, very nice. Obviously, the state is still having a lot of votes to count. Of course, Fox and NBC are going to list it as too early to call, which I don't even think you need to do that. Like, obviously, we see that this is going to take a minute, so let's just keep an eye on things. 12% of the vote in so far, nearly totaling at, if we can get a total number of how many votes we have in? It'll be interesting. Yeah, nothing from some of these bigger counties around Atlanta yet, like Gwinnett and Forsyth and Cherokee yet. But obviously, some of these more rural counties that aren't near these big metropolitan cities are already starting to filter in for red. This will be interesting. Let's take another look at governor as well. Ooh, that is saying something. Holy crap, that is saying something. And like I said, Fulton County is obviously going to be heavily for a blue candidate, and all these other counties that are starting to funnel in are going to be red. But look how close that is. With 12% of the vote in, Brian Kemp is only he's only a little bit above 10% behind. Meanwhile, Herschel Walker is nearly double behind. Now, that says something, and it's either saying explicitly that Herschel Walker is an extremely unpopular candidate, which I don't believe, or Brian Kemp is outperforming even in the times where Democrats are going to be running at the top real high until they start to fall off with more red counties coming through. So that leads me a little bit closer to the idea of that this race between Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams could be closer to a call. And I do believe that Brian Kemp is going to be called to win way before any other race will be called. And I should say the gubernatorial race will be called before any other race will be called in Georgia. These numbers are something right here. These numbers are something, considering Warnock is outperforming that by a heavy mile. I don't know. It is now 7:31, which means a few more states have joined that list, including Ohio and West Virginia. We have nothing to talk about with West Virginia, but let's take a quick look at Ohio and their Senate race and see if they have anything new for us to discuss. So we got to go. I'm trying to learn how to use these websites. They change them every time. All right, here we go. So Ohio is right down here. Right here. Okay. Yep. So 0% of the vote in. No numbers in yet, but this is between J.D. Vance and Tim Ryan. J.D. Vance, who has the Trump endorsement, Tim Ryan, who obviously does not, but there's been a good amount of campaigning in Ohio in the last couple of weeks. I believe both Obama and Biden went through there. Either one or the other, or maybe both came through. So obviously, big eyes on this race right here. It's going to be very, very serious. This will be another one of the pivotal ones that could decide where this Senate chart goes, because right now, a lot of these states are obviously already looking like they're going blue, or will be blue because of the senators that are already there. But this is a chance for the GOP to take back a little bit of control and stop the Biden administration and the Democrats from having unchecked power for another 2 years. This could be big. So we're keeping an eye on all these things. Kentucky results have been called for Rand Paul. So he's going to be holding on against Charles Booker. Of course, that's still very low, but for a state like Kentucky, they're already pretty solid on that. And this is going to be good. Oh, it looks like Ohio has already been called for Mike DeWine for the gubernatorial with 0% of the vote in. But I guess that's a lot more of a safer one you could bet than Senate. So that's interesting. There you go. They're calling that for Mike DeWine. If we could take a look at Decision Desk and see if they mirror that, that'll be interesting, because votes just closed 2 minutes ago. This is when a lot of people say things. Based on our current race projections, Republicans have an 86% chance of winning a U.S. House majority. Very interesting. Here's Florida 15, Republican leading. Wow, very good. And that's with 40% in, so we're definitely getting into the final minutes of that race update. Ooh, okay. 71% of the vote in on Florida 13, Anna Paulina trailing by about 9,000 votes, 47% to Eric Lynn's 51%. This race is actually really important to keep an eye on because it's going to be a heavy hallmark for other races, but also because this is the district that Florida gubernatorial candidate Charlie Crist, who's running against Ron DeSantis, abandoned so that he could run for governor. There's no runoff or anything, so this is it right here between Eric Lynn and Anna Paulina Luna. So definitely very interesting to keep an eye on right there. And obviously Florida governor 22 minutes ago, nothing new right there. Obviously plenty to keep an eye on as we go forward. More numbers for Fox filling on in. 11% of the vote in so far on Fox's end in Georgia. I'm going to keep a heavy eye on Georgia as we start things off tonight because their state, or I should say this state is going to be, the vote ended early. The I'm sorry, the polls closed at 7 p.m. 30 minutes ago, so they're going to have a lot more votes starting to come through. We're seeing a lot more of these states be, say, too early to call so far, and that's the Senate race between Tim Ryan and J.D. Vance. Obviously, no votes in yet, so obviously you can't really call that, but they have called it for Mike DeWine, which is very, very interesting. South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. It's going to be something. It is going to be something. I'm excited for 8 p.m. when the rest of the polls in Florida close. I really want to see how Ron DeSantis goes, especially since a lot of people will have a problem with President Trump calling him Ron DeSanctimonious. They really think that's going to hurt Ron DeSantis in the polls or something like that. I don't know. Guys. I don't believe that. I don't. And we're also keeping an eye on as more polls close. We're marching slowly towards 8 p.m. with Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Maine, and many other states that are going to be called soon, including some Senate races, the gubernatorial race in Texas. I am very excited to see how that goes between Abbott and Beto. Good old Beto. Everybody loves Beto, right? We all love good old Beto O'Rourke, don't we? It's a big thing, man. It is a big thing to see as more of these places are closing down and more races are being called. Let's check in on how the mainstream media is doing right now, because, man, they're suffering. CNN's Dana Bash reading their exit polls. You know what's missing from this one? 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 issues? Democracy. Somebody call an ambulance.
Is that the numbers in these exits do not line up with what we were seeing in the polling data going into this election about what people cared about and the order in which they ranked it. So we have had a lot of questions throughout this time about new voters, people that hadn't been in there before that were perhaps not getting captured by the polling. So maybe this is a sign that we're going to see a little bit more of that tonight than we expected. We obviously don't know yet.
And you know what's missing from this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 top 5 issues? Democracy.
Oh, yeah.
It's not even in here. It's not to say that it's not an issue for people, but it doesn't even come close. Well,
Maybe because people aren't concerned about whatever you think democracy is. They are concerned about whether their vote counts, and I wouldn't be surprised if voter integrity, election integrity was somewhere in the top 10, top 15 of issues, and there are a lot of issues in America that people care about, and that being in the top 15, top 10 maybe even, would say a lot. But because it isn't under the word that they want it to be, which is democracy, that's why they say, well, obviously, these people, they don't care about democracy. How could you say that? 32% say inflation is the most important issue. 27% say abortion. That speaks volumes, which is why CNN, MSNBC, and everybody else that we have tonight is going to be screaming at the top of their lungs, scared out of their minds as more and more polls are starting to close and more people are saying, all right, it's looking more and more like, the Republicans are going to get the House majority and looks like they might get the Senate majority and they're winning this gubernatorial race and that one. And we've got problems. We've got issues. The next thing you know, Biden and Harris are going to be decrying the ultra MAGA Congress that won't allow them to pass another Inflation Reduction Act and send more billions to Ukraine.
Billions?
Hey, throw your hands up in the air and say, looks like they aren't so happy. But we have more election freakouts for you guys that I'm excited for you guys to see. Let me pull it up here. We have from Election Wizard. Get that here. There it is. So Election Wizard has people that are audibly gasping at something. Audible gasp from MSNBC panel when they first saw the early returns from Miami-Dade County, which is a county that historically goes blue. Check this out.
I'm told we just got Miami-Dade. This is a big one in Florida. Let's take a look at, So let's put this in some perspective. Miami-Dade County has 2.75 million people. In 2016, this was a Democratic county by 30 points. Hillary Clinton won this county by 30 points. Miami-Dade is 70% Hispanic. It began shifting to the Republicans in 2020. Donald Trump only lost it by 7. And look at this. In the mail-in and early vote, which again tends to be more Democratic friendly, Marco Rubio, the Republican, is outright leading in Miami-Dade County by 7 points over Val Demings, the Democratic challenger. In the gubernatorial race, interestingly, we don't have numbers from Miami-Dade County.
There they are. They popped up for a second. Was that it?
I flipped up to Broward to try to reset it to see if it came in.
You know what I have to say to this, folks? You know what I do?
Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote.
Miami-Dade. Let's check it ourselves.
The people go out to vote. No more. Vote for Trump. Let's go. Vote for Trump. If you wanna keep America great, vote for Trump. Let's do it. I vote for Trump. Come on. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote. Oh yeah, for Donald Trump. Oh my God, I will vote. Oh my God, I will vote for Donald
The trombones, the trumpets.
I don't believe it, right?
Oh, it's a beautiful thing, guys. Look at that. Look at how red this state is going, but Miami, Florida. And keep in mind, this isn't some like 10 minutes after the vote closes. Oh yeah, this county reported like 10,000 votes early. No, this is 60% of the votes in. Marco Rubio. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Rubio. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for DeSantis. It's over. It's over. Let's compare it to say 2020, because I have this helpful chart here for all these races, and I'm going to go to Senate results in 2020. Let's take a look here. If Florida had one, I don't fully know if they had one in. Actually, I don't think they would have. But if we go to House, maybe that's an okay-ish marker for it. We go to Florida, and did they give us a map here? Florida in 2020. If not, we'll just check the presidential. So Florida in 2020 went to Trump, but obviously Miami-Dade had a near 100,000 vote lead for Uncle Joe, for Sleepy Joe.
And you ain't black. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
The husband of the breakfast tacos lady. That's her. That's him. So this was a pretty big thing to keep an eye on in Miami-Dade. 2020, 2 years ago. You don't ever expect this much change in a county in such a short period of time. From 617,000 votes for Joe Biden in a presidential election to now, and if we pull up our map, 270,000 votes with 60% of the vote in for Ron DeSantis. It's almost a 10-point lead for DeSantis versus Christ. And there's 40% of the vote still left to come through, and I would love to get a closer look if we could, but it's too big of a county to see what areas that might have things coming in, and maybe this would explain why it's red and it's going to flip back to blue. But no, it's a blowout. Charlie Crist is being destroyed. We have, okay, let's go, we'll stop with the stories for now. Let's jump back in and do another quick sweep of everything that's happening in all these states, including the Florida gubernatorial race, which has 61% of the votes in. Ron DeSantis is leading by 56.1% of the vote. That is a 13-point lead ahead of Charlie Crist. This is worse than the polls thought. This is worse. With only 39% of the vote left to be counted, it's not going to get much better for Charlie Crist. It does not. Let's check on the Senate race as well. Marco Rubio doing quite good, not quite as ahead as DeSantis is, but still 10 points, or I guess 9.4 points ahead of Val Demings for that coveted Senate seat. Still holding on to Miami-Dade County with millions of people in it. Probably a good amount of registered voters as well, and 70% Hispanic population. Oh my God, I will vote. I will vote for Rubio. It's beautiful, folks. It really is beautiful. But now let's zoom in a bit more as we take a closer look at Florida, since they seem to know how to report their races for the House races. So far, we have a few races that have already been called, including some incumbents, but I still want to keep a close eye on District 13. Where is it? Is it that small? Okay, we'll go for the list instead. It's that small. We have to go for the list. Okay. We now have an update on District 13. This brings a smile to my eye. Ana Paulina Luna has now pulled staunchly ahead of opponent Eric Lynn with now 86% of the vote, and she has 161,000 votes to Eric Lynn at 142,000 votes. This is a game changer. This was a district that in 2020 went for Charlie Crist. He had that, and now he's going for a different district. But these people are losing the districts that they left behind. I'm so excited for when 8 p.m. comes on along and we have Texas. I really want to check in on Mayra Flores in District 34. I'm so excited to see how that goes for her. But this is a blowout. A lot of these races that weren't even fully expected that are going well. House District 19 hasn't been called yet, strangely enough, although it's only 60% of the vote in. Where is 19? Is 19 on the panhandle? Because that would explain it. No, it's just 1 and 2 with Neil Dunn and Matt Gaetz. Okay. Where's Kat Kim? Oh, yeah, she's good. She's good. I've heard her speak a few times. She's good. She's good. All right. And not many other races have been called yet. Anna Polina doing well. We'll still have to keep an eye out. There's still, 14% or so of the vote left to be counted. So could go either way. Still could go either way. But that is big stuff right there. Let's check in on Georgia now, shall we? This website seems to be doing just a whole lot better. So we'll just keep an eye on this one instead. Let's see here. Can we get out of Florida races? Can we go to... Okay, let's just do Senate. Oh, state results. Oh, no, this is fine. Okay, let's check in on Georgia and see if we have any races that are prepared to be called. Yeah, so Georgia's taking their sweet time this time, which is not out of the ordinary. With only about 30% of the vote in, Warnock has kept his lead of more than 10 points ahead of Herschel Walker. However, Walker is at 346,000 to Warnock at 465. More and more counties are starting to come through, with blue areas reporting first, but then red areas will start to come through. Let's see if we can do a quick comparison with Georgia, just to ease your guys' minds. I'm sure some of y'all might be worried, but you got to keep in mind these states, they count in strange orders, but it's fine. If we go to let's go, just go to home. There you go. I like that. This site keeps it. Oh, I just hate seeing blue Georgia. But this is what we're comparing it to. And keep in mind, it's not always like this. There aren't usually this many blue counties. In fact, if we go back to maybe, let's see if we can go back to 2016, maybe. I wonder if we can do that. If we can do that. Can we do it like, I think we should be able to do it like this. So just change the website. They don't have it like that. Okay, strangely enough. Maybe if we have 2018. If we have 2018 still up here. Nope, they don't have that either. Okay, it's fine. But still, even though not as many of these counties will be blue, it is still going to be a balance of mostly red counties, because that's just how Georgia is. We now have some votes starting to come through in Gwinnett County and some of these other counties that surround Atlanta, which also are highly populous and generally speaking blue counties, especially Fulton, DeKalb, and Gwinnett. Although more of these places are starting to fill in red, obviously there's still a good amount of the vote to be counted. With a vote update happening now, Herschel Walker now beginning to gain in points. I expect that once we hit the 45% or so vote in count, that is when you'll start to see the Herschel Walker red sort of numbers start to really pile in. That's going to be really good. Let's keep an eye on the gubernatorial as well. Woof! Brian Kemp is holding on. Swear that says only 20% of this is in. Let's refresh. This is Fox. This is NBC. They are taking their time. 46% for Brian Kemp, with only 53 for Stacey Abrams, which is a bloodbath for Abrams. That is bad. That is bad for Abrams, considering that it is this early on, and this is when she would normally be keeping a lead, and she's already losing it. Oh no, Abrams, Stacey, are you okay? Are you okay? We all know she won't concede until it's time to run for governor again in 2026. Keep an eye out for that. All right, let's check in with this site and see if they have any discrepancies in these numbers. Once again, checking on Senate. Let's visit Georgia. Can we get this bigger, please? Oh, whoops. Where are we? Okay, Georgia. So they're reporting a blue tint here in Georgia, which is interesting. Okay, here's what I was looking for. Okay, so we have... Yep. So a few of these counties are starting to report in things. Interesting. Okay. Or congressional districts. Okay, so Warnock obviously is still holding at 56. This site reports Walker at 41, which is different than NBC, which had it at 43, right? Okay, so they have 42.7 for Warnock on NBC, while Fox has it at 41. But they only have 17% of the vote in, so that's why it's getting a little slower. Fox appears to be slow for Georgia, but fast for Florida. Very, very interesting right there. Very, very interesting. This is becoming something right now. This is becoming something. Okay, we are steadily approaching. We have 12 minutes until polls close in a few new states, including Texas, and I believe Pennsylvania right here, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, a few other states as well. Not all of them having all elections, but holy crap. We're getting closer, folks. We're getting closer. And as more of these polls start to close in these central states, more of these things should start to tighten up in states like Florida and hopefully Georgia as well. Georgia is taking its sweet old time, let me tell you. Let me tell you. But more races are beginning to be called, and more people are starting to get really nervous. Really nervous. We have Brooklyn Dad Defiant on Twitter talking about how he was scared. He was so very scared. Ooh. Okay, all right, this is big. Okay, we're going to check in on Ohio right there. We got a little bit of a leak right there, but I want to check in. Where is that? Oregon? Is this not in? Okay, there it is. So Ohio. So right now we have numbers starting to fill in for Ohio. I assume things are going to be in a similar direction in Ohio insofar as earlier votes on election day being more Democrat counted. And it appears to be holding true to that. However, we keep an eye on what could be a lot of people voting split ticket, which would be very, very interesting. Mike DeWine, of course, is tailing Nan Whaley because it's an early Democrat state, I believe, similar to Georgia and similar to Florida to an extent. But Mike DeWine has been called. However, J.D. Vance tails behind Mike DeWine with a 10-point falling. But behind Tim Ryan, it is not good. Now, that's only 5% of the vote insofar, and if we expand this out, we can see some of the numbers. 143,000 for Ryan, with only 80,000 for J.D. Vance. However, big however, we got to remember, these are blue strongholds that have big places like Columbus, Ohio, and I'm sure once Cleveland starts to come in, it's going to look even worse. But counties around it as well already starting to count up for Tim Ryan. But of course, they get their votes in real early. In fact, another 63,000 just dropped for Tim Ryan, which is going to make that number even more dramatically ahead of J.D. Vance. However, he did catch up with another 80 or so thousand as well. So the numbers are balancing out, and wow, more counties are speculating in as we look. So obviously it's still really early, as NBC says, too early to call for Ohio, and I'm not making any calls myself yet. However, it is still going to be something to heavily keep an eye on, as we're now at 10% of the vote in Ohio. It's going to be big. It's going to be big. Let me move this over here so I don't keep accidentally clicking on it. Let me zoom out as well. Just to remind you guys, this is 2020 right here. I'm keeping this to do a quick comparison between. And actually, let's jump in if we could take a look at Ohio. So here is Trumbull County, or hold on, is this? Okay, Cuyahoga County. And we take a look at Ohio right now. Cuyahoga, that's Cleveland. So if we look at the county that has Hamilton, or Cincinnati, so we have Hamilton and Franklin. So if we find Hamilton and Franklin, these are the only counties that went blue in 2020, with 400,000 for Biden and 246,000 for Biden. So obviously these are heavily blue counties, and they're practically the only ones reporting any real amount of votes. So I don't know, guys. I don't know. I've heard a lot about this state being solid, or at least lean R for Senate race, and I concur with that. I concur with that assessment. I believe, especially as once these strongholds, Cuyahoga, Hamilton, and Franklin, run out of votes to count out of nowhere, these other counties are going to fill in, and they will bring that back up. However, it is still too close to call, but it's going to be very interesting. And if we actually compare that to the gubernatorial, you'll see similar numbers in why a non-projected winner is still in the lead, and more counties are starting to come through, and Mike DeWine's lead, or Nan Whaley's lead, is shrinking. Mike DeWine is approaching very quickly with still the same amount of counties and numbers of votes counted. That number is going to get real close, and obviously these counties are going to go heavily for that blue candidate, but they're going to run out. And it's not going to be a pure blowout like we've seen for Republicans in Florida. So definitely plenty to keep an eye on over there. All right, let's check in and see if Decision Desk has any updates for us real quick. See if they've made any new calls, because that is going to be what tells us big things. Okay. Yep, I already reported that. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, cool. I'm not seeing anything new on any of these places. We now have 8 minutes, and I mean 8 minutes, until some new states are called. Let's see if we can zoom out here. And no, not this. I hate this site. I don't want this one. I want to be taken just up. I think it's this one. Yep, this button. Okay, so we have another overview look at some of these places. Oh, they're having a Senate election as well. Okay, Vermont. Okay, good to know. That's probably going to go Democrat, I'm sure of it. But still, plenty to keep an eye on with Ohio, North Carolina, which is going to be interesting with the incumbent Ted Budd, right? Is Ted Budd the incumbent, or is he not? The name sounds familiar, but it's not saying the little incumbent thing here. Okay, well, either way, interesting. And that's 50% of the vote, and that is interesting. Sherry is holding a lead against Ted Budd. Will that be a flip? Oh, let me report back to my previous information here we have for North Carolina. Do we have a Senate information for North Carolina? Okay, so North Carolina, well, that's for presidential. Okay. Well, I'm going to keep an eye on that. That's not as high on my list, but that would be, I'm pretty sure Ted Budd is the incumbent. Let me just confirm this. Is Ted Budd the incumbent? Okay, so he's a candidate. And he was a House member in North Carolina. Okay, so there is no incumbent in this race. Okay, so that's what that is. So this will be something to keep an eye on as well. I'll bring that up higher on my list then, because that's going to be big. Okay, so obviously still earlier Democrat lead holding on. A lot of these more rural counties have yet to report in. And yep, as you can see here, Sherry starting to lose her lead, Ted Budd gaining a bit, and more of these rural counties some of them are still at 0. Meanwhile, these Democrat strongholds like Charlotte, Greensboro, and Raleigh are starting to run out of votes to count. They're at 50% already. Greensboro hasn't given anything yet, and Charlotte's also at 50%, so that's going to be interesting to see. I'll keep an eye on North Carolina. That could go somewhere. Okay, let's check back in on Florida. We have just a few more minutes until polls close, and some more places. We're going to check in on Florida. This is 2020. Okay. And then this is Fox. So we'll use Fox real quick here and see what they say, because they sometimes appear to be a little bit faster with Florida here. That's Senate. Can we go to House real quick? I want to check in on the House, although the Senate is looking interesting as well. But in Florida, I want to check in on District 13. None of these from the Panhandle are giving in yet because those close at 8. However, Florida, a lot of these other districts have already begun to go through with it. Florida 13 is now at 96% of the vote counted, and it looks like Fox hasn't called it yet, but I'm looking at this. 96%, there is next to no mathematical possibility that Eric Lynn will go through with this. So I'm going to use Fox's own numbers and officially call Florida 13 for Anna Paulina Luna, which is a Republican gain in the Florida race right there. So congratulations to Anna Paulina. We'll see what other places call that. I'm sure Decision Desk will be calling that within a minute too, as they're probably looking at things very similar to me. But congratulations to Anna Paulina Luna in Florida District 13. They're calling some races. They've called the 15th for Laurel Lee, and I'm sure within the next minute, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the exact next tweet, they call it for Anna Paulina in the 13th Congressional District. There you go. That's the way the cookie crumbles, folks. Let's check in on a House with this site here and see if they've gotten anything on Florida yet as well. Okay, so 11. Let's see here. Let's go to District 13. They also have yet to call it, but can I get this expanded a bit? They don't have okay, so they only have 89% and they haven't updated it yet. So Florida is faster with Fox and they are at 96.38. This is good. Okay, numbers are updating a bit. They're now at 96.7. It's a slow crawl at the end. I swear it is. That last little percent, it really has you hanging on. If we could compare Florida's 15th, let me refresh this real quick, just to make sure they haven't posted it yet. Oh, there they get. I told you. Congratulations to Anna Paulina Luna for winning the Florida's 13th Congressional District, which is a D to R flip. Previously, the seat held by a Florida gubernatorial candidate, Charlie Crist. I'm going to give that a big fat retweet and give a solid congratulations. Congratulations to Vote APL. That's a D to R flip, baby. Let's go. Congratulations, Anna Paulina Luna in the 13th Congressional District of Florida. Also to Florida 15th for Laurel Lee. But wow, that's big stuff right there. Woo! That is great. That is great. Interactive polls also confirms. Cool stuff. Very, very cool stuff. Smiley says, glad to see this coverage. Thank you so much. And Tara says, Chandler, you are just as current and on point as ABL and Liberal Hive Mind. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Prince Show says, my heart is skipping a heartbeat. Trust me. Imagine hosting this show. All right, my heart is skipping beats, but I'm just focused in on getting the numbers. We now have just 3 minutes until the polls close in the states of Texas and most counties of Pennsylvania. This is going to be crazy. I am excited to see what happens with good old Greg Abbott versus Beta O'Rourke, and see how things go with Mastriano versus Shapiro and Oz versus Fetterman, especially that Oz versus Fetterman race. Oh my goodness, man. I cannot wait. We'll do one last check in on Georgia real quick, see if anything new has started to come through. I'm expecting Georgia to take so very long. It's weird because Florida has way more people than Georgia does, yet Georgia just takes eons eons to report this. And frankly, I'm gonna have to blame the rural counties. All right, I'm gonna have to blame them. All right, we'll check with NBC because they're the ones that give the full map for us. So clicking in on Georgia. Ooh, okay. So it looks like 20. Okay, we're still at 30%. This is where we were before. This is still where we were before. No, nothing new. Nothing new. Okay, interesting. Nothing new on either of these. This is still at 22%. Okay. All right. Georgia's just stop counting votes. We're not doing it anymore. The polls closed in Georgia an hour ago. An hour ago. Come on, man. What are we talking about, man? I don't know. This is very, very interesting. How is Minnesota doing? Ran into first-time high school voters voting red in my state. High hopes we can take Minnesota red and remove us from the Democratic stronghold designation. Let me take a look here. Minnesota is right. That's that shaped state. So Minnesota, their polls close at your polls close at 9 p.m., which is in an hour. So we'll check back in on Minnesota in an hour to see how things go. I'll give just for you, Mr. Ryan Schmidt. I'll keep an eye on things as we go on along. We got Rendella in the building. She says, "Great live." Thank you so much, Rendella. Nice to see her in here. She's one of our greatest guests on our music. Thickris says steak, A1 or nah? Very important questions. Who cares about the geopolitical state of our nation? How do you like your steak? Important questions. All right, we now have just a minute left until the polls close. Obviously, we're not going to be seeing anything big coming from these races anytime soon, but it is still really interesting to see how things go. And wow, history has been made. It has now been predicted or projected that Ron DeSantis will hold on and be reelected as governor of the state of Florida. Round of applause. Now, obviously, this surprises absolutely nobody. Charlie Crist was one of the weakest candidates we've seen in modern American politics for a gubernatorial election. But still, it's great to see Ron DeSantis hold on. And, Ron DeSanctimonious. Everybody was like, no, we can't divide the Republican Party. I understand your concerns. And if he was running... And maybe if he was Herschel Walker and he was running against Raphael Warnock and Trump said something like, Herschel, walk away from the polls or something like that, then I'd understand you guys being like, no division. But come on, it's Ron DeSantis, guys. He's the name that's being thrown around for 2024 right alongside Trump. So you're sure gonna bet that he's gonna say something to seed that a little bit for 2024. But also, he still casted a vote for Ron DeSantis himself. In fact, I'll find that. Trump DeSantis vote. He voted for Ron DeSantis. He announced that today. He was walking away from the polls. Somebody asked him.
For Governor DeSantis?
Yes, I did.
Based.
Did you vote for Governor DeSantis?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. So, I mean, hey, make of it what you will. Looks like it's going places for Ron DeSantis, which now is going to make a lot of people say, okay, he won 2023. I mean, he won 2022. He's going to hold on to being a governor. So what's next? Come on, guys. Come on, man. All right. Look, I know he's in a good spot. He's in a good position, but I guess there's no more excuse for us now that we're saying we need to focus on 2022, focus on the midterms. They're now going to say, all right, well, what's next for Ron DeSantis? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, no, that's funny. That's funny. All right. Polls have now closed in a few more states, so I'm going to be clearing out my list here of topics that we haven't talked about yet. And we still have a few things to run into as well. Audible gasps and vote for Trump. We have, actually, perfect. Just in time, honestly. And then we'll save that one for later. Okay, great. We now have a bit more of a focused list here. We now have Texas, Oklahoma, I believe this is Kansas, a few other states, and then Pennsylvania now have their polls closed. So obviously we're not expecting many results to be coming through quite yet. And obviously we're still expecting some results updating. Ooh, okay, we now have 31% of the vote in Georgia. And Herschel Walker is starting to close that gap. Good to know. We're now going to zoom out and take a look at that Senate race in Pennsylvania. Obviously it's still, what the heck? Oh, okay. Still obviously too close to call, but John Fetterman v. Mehmet Oz is going to be probably one of the most watched races of the night. Other than Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, this is going to be a race that a lot of people have their eyes on because these are two of the biggest races that will decide where that balance of power goes in the Senate. If both Oz and Walker win, there is no feasible way that Democrats hold on to the Senate majority. If John Fetterman wins and Walker wins, then we'll have to keep an eye on states like North Carolina and Arizona as well. But if both Mehmet Oz and Walker win, that's your bellwether right there. Because Arizona, it can go between Masters and Kelly. And as far as North Carolina, it says that the Democrats ahead, but the Republicans are going to win. It's North Carolina. So really, the Democrats have 3 big hopes for Senate, as well as Ohio as well. That one's a good one to keep an eye on. So 4 real big important states. But if they lose Oz and Walker, I severely doubt that they're going to carry Ohio or Arizona with Ryan and Kelly. And Kelly is the incumbent. And that's the one I have the most expectations to hold on to. That's an incumbent right there. That's a strong one right there. And Warnock is as well, but it's Georgia, not Arizona. So I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here. It's very nuanced things you get from watching politics like a hawk. And frankly, we're just going to have to keep an eye on, see how things go. But with Pennsylvania's polls just closing, it's going to be big. We'll also take a quick check in on Texas. Oh, they say polls close at 9. What's going on here? This one says polls close at 8. Interesting. Very, very interesting. It now appears that also all important statewide races in Florida have been called, because the gubernatorial for Ron DeSantis has been called, but also Marco Rubio has been called to hold on to the Senate race in Florida and stay as the incumbent senator from Florida, defeating Val Demings. So big congratulations to him. Round of applause.
He can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
Oh, Susanna Donovan just destroying Charlie Crist in the chat. She says, Crist has lost how many gubernatorial races? Isn't this his 4th loss? You know what? While we wait for some more results from Pennsylvania, before I go through some Pennsylvania topics, I gotta know. We're gonna go to Charlie Crist on Wikipedia. We're gonna go and see how many times has this dude ran for office. Okay, so... Oh, man, we'll go through here. So elections in 2016, Crist announced he would seek the Democratic nomination for Florida's 13th, yada, yada. Wasn't he a former governor of Florida? Okay, so there's a Senate, presidential, governor. Okay, so having won the 2006 election, Crist was inaugurated as governor of Florida in 2007. He had a mixed record of environmental issues, yada, yada. Here, you know what we're going to go to? We're going to go to Ballotopedia. Because that will actually chronicle elections. Ballotpedia. So let's see here. Okay, Ballotpedia. That's more specific about what we're going for here. So we go... Okay, so here's the elections versus Ron DeSanctimonious. I'm sorry, I laugh about that so much. I just love that name. It is really hilarious. So we scroll all the way down, and we go to... Let's go to 2007. Why is 2020 up here? Oh, that's something different. Okay, so we go to 1999... appointed Crist to the position of deputy secretary. Okay, interesting. So 2006, he was elected governor of Florida. In 2010, he ran for a seat for the Senate, and he lost to Marco Rubio, okay? Or lost in the primary. Hold on, I must not be understanding this right. Okay. It's showing a lot of elections that he had involvement in, but not his specific ones. But honestly, that's a good question. That is a question. Oh, Texas has 2 time zones as well. Dang it. What is up with all these real big fat states having multiple time zones? I'm used to a state, my state of Georgia being in 1 time zone and 1 time zone only. All right? I'm sick of these states having multiple time zones. You ain't special, Texas. You ain't special, Florida. Now, I may want to move to both of your states really bad, but you ain't special. Calm down. Nah, somebody tell me, Florida Governor Charlie Crist, how many times has he ran? That's insane. You say he's ran and lost 4 times? That would be insane. That's crazy. All right, let's keep an eye on things with Pennsylvania. We've got some really funny stories coming from both Pennsylvania and, more specifically, Texas. Sarah Gonzalez has been on the ground. Alex Stein have been on the ground, absolutely trolling the smithereens off of Democratic gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke. She asked if he would stop running in Texas after he finally loses. He wouldn't answer. Check this out.
Beto, why do you support the transition with children, sir? Beto, I have one question. Why do you refuse to answer this question? Strong families make a strong country.
Beto, will you disavow the mutilation of children?
Supporting Michelle McKinney.
Will you disavow it?
Real first, Michelle.
Beto, will you stop running in Texas? Nobody likes you.
So very funny. But on top of that, Alex Stein also was absolutely trolling Beto O'Rourke. Let me see if he's got it on his Twitter feed. I think he did. Fake journalist for tattletaling. Interesting. Yep, Primetime 99 trolling Beto O'Rourke. Check this out.
Beta, do you feel guilty about the millions of dollars you wasted on your campaign, Beta? Why do you want to protect trans children?
They're pushing him.
Do you feel guilty about the money you wasted? Do you feel guilty about the money you wasted? How are you going to protect trans kids by cutting off their genitals?
How does that protect trans kids, Beta? Beta, how does that protect trans kids? Beta. Beta, how are you protecting trans kids by cutting off their genitals?
This is the type of trolling that we need in 2022. I'd say we shouldn't go without it. Y'all in the chat have got a lot of thoughts about my 2 time zones comments. Gerardo is the one that told me there's 2 time zones. HWN says, I really like 2 time zones abolished. Susanna says, Oregon has 1 time zone. You know what, Susanna? Get out of my chat, Susanna. She's always the one talking about Oregon. Susanna says, Chris is run just about every party. So true. Okay, so Daltonius has the information. It says, Chris was governor from 07 to 11, ran for Senate in 2010, got primaried. Scott became governor that year. Scott. And that year, and won re-election in 2014 against Chris. And now this. 3 runs. I have no idea about the 4th. Okay. And that was Scott, Rick Scott. That's the name I'm looking for. Couldn't get that out of my head for some reason. That is hilarious. 3 runs. He'll be back. He'll definitely be back. Oh, EK Dub. I'm not going to say that. I want to remind you guys that this show is, of course, sponsored and supported by viewers like you. So if you like my election live stream that we've got going here, still right in the midst of it, we've got more states dropping information soon. We're going to be checking that out in a minute. But if you want to support our channel, those options are available just right up here. We've been demonetized by YouTube for like 2 years now. So if you've been trying to super chat or anything like that, leave a message. You cannot. So if you want to support our stream, support my channel, you have to go to donorbox.org/support-Chandler. The link is in the description and the chat. And you can also scan the QR code on the top right of the screen to bring yourself to this website right here, which you can use to donate. Very much like Super Chat. It goes directly to me. You don't have to worry about YouTube getting any cut of it. And that's how you can support me. We also, of course, support Cash App donations as well. So if you have a Cash App account, you can use that link at the top right. The one on the left takes you to DonorBox. The one on the right takes you to Cash App. Either one, donate, support. You can be both anonymous, or you can send them a message of support, or if you have any questions, you want me to check in on a specific state or a specific county. We'll take all sorts of requests tonight. We've done that in the past during the 2020 election. It was a great time. So if you're interested, all those options are available for you guys right down there. I also want to give a huge shout out to the people we have watching us over on Rumble. We are having a fantastic multi-stream right now. We got the indoor farmer over there who says, cheers, my guy, you're doing a great job. And R.U. Shackelford says, remember that average midterm flips are 31 seats. We need to exceed that. So very, very interesting. Good numbers from my Rumble people over there. If you have a Rumble account and are interested in watching us without any YouTube censorship or anything like that, make sure you visit our Rumble page just at rumble.com/ChandlerCrump, or just hit the link in the description and visit our Rumble page linked below. This is where we are also live. We've got a good amount of people in the building, and we also are very close to 800 subscribers over on our Rumble channel. So make sure you check it out. I'd really appreciate the support of a free speech supporting platform. It's a great place, so make sure you check it out today. I would really, really appreciate it. I think they might have. What just happened? Okay. Either way, that's what's going on with Rumble. I'd appreciate it if you guys check it out. Now, let's get back into some big things going on right now, including Pennsylvania and Texas. Now, I'm not expecting much from Pennsylvania yet, but it's the one I care the most about. So we're going to zoom out right here. We're on Fox News Democracy. So let's see if they have anything for us on Pennsylvania yet. I think I'm supposed to use this, aren't I? No, am I not? Senate races by state. Hello, can you show me other things other than Georgia? Oh, okay, right. Okay, here we go. Pennsylvania. So nope, nothing in from Fox yet. And then we'll check in here on NBC as well. Senate, and go to Pennsylvania. Yeah. Oh, okay. So numbers are in. Holy crap. Oh, okay. It's just 2 counties. Okay, with Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. That is the only places that have even a smidgen of votes in. And so obviously, not many are going to be going for anybody else other than John Fetterman there. I mean, holy crap, 91%. Talk about free thought. 58,000 votes for Fetterman. That is almost suspicious, man. That is extremely strange. I know these are blue places, but I mean, Mehmet Oz was a TV doctor for a while. There's got to be a few Democrat boomers out there that are like, you know what? I may be a Democrat, but I like Mehmet Oz. He saved my life or something like that, so I'm going to vote for him. But seriously, 32,000 votes to 207,000 votes in the 3 near Democrat strongholds. I don't know, man. I don't know. That seems really, really strange. But you know what? I won't call anything yet. That's only 5% of the vote in so far. This is obviously going to be a much closer race than that. These are all heavily Trump-endorsed candidates, so that carries, at least carried, and I'd say still does carry a good bit of weight. I mean, it got Mehmet Oz to win the primary, so it obviously does something. Okay, so here's a more competitive look at it, and still, I don't know if this is a blue county or not. Let me see here. We'll compare it to 2020. So it's that county right there. We go to Pennsylvania. Okay, so this isn't a blue county. Warren, yeah, 14,000 for Trump. Huh. And if we look at this now, oh, okay, well, only 17% of the vote is in, and I'm sure some of the more rural precincts are going to take a little bit longer to get in there. So, I don't know. That explains why it's a bit closer right there. Obviously, this is still really early. The polls only closed in Pennsylvania about 13 or so minutes ago. So still big things to keep an eye out for. But every county so far is going blue on the Senate side. But let's check in on the gubernatorial side as well, as almost every single state has been counted, and some of them have even been called, including B. Lee in Tennessee. I think, is that Bill Lee? Let me just confirm. Okay, Bill Lee, the incumbent governor, is expected to hold on to that. And wow, Ed is not even looking close. And that's with 1% in. So take that with a grain of salt. Upsets can happen. However, in South Carolina, Alabama, Tennessee, and Florida, all these gubernatorial races have been called, and as well as Ohio. But Pennsylvania, we are keeping an eye on this. Josh Shapiro with a very strong early lead. Obviously, still the early Democrat run appears to be a very common factor in a lot of these states, with only 5% of the vote in. However, Doug Mastriano hasn't even cracked double digits on the percentage points yet, which definitely isn't a good look. Now, of course, still 5%, still only these counties so far, which are all, except for this one, which is still, I guess, must have a slight metropolitan area in it. But these, big anchor cities of the state are obviously going to be reporting a lot of blue votes. We still have plenty to keep an eye out for in these districts here. So that is your update so far on Pennsylvania. Let's take a quick look over in Texas, if we have numbers coming in. And yes, we do. So the majority of Texas, I've been told by the chat, and I like having a good amount of people in the chat helping me engaged in information. So I appreciate y'all who told me that apparently it's just a small sliver of Texas that is in the Western time zone. And you're right. It's just that little bit right here, the tip of the panhandle right there in Texas. So we already have numbers coming through. 16% of the vote is in, with Beto O'Rourke taking a strong lead so far, nearly 10 percentage points ahead of Greg Abbott, but still, obviously, the early Democrat run is going to be a thing, and it still is these blue strongholds like Austin holding on. However, these areas around Dallas are looking, and Dallas itself isn't looking purely monolithical yet as far as votes go. Like, Greg Abbott isn't all the way out of the game. I mean, he's still halfway behind, but that is still a good thing, and that's with 53% of the vote in Dallas in so far. Now, obviously, it's going to be a blue county. It's a city, but it is still going to be a very big, a big wake-up call to see how things might actually be going in the state. I also quickly want to check in on the attorney general race, because Ken Paxton is based, and he needs to hold on. He does. He's still good, all right? We've heard such great things about Ken Paxton. I almost wanted him to run for governor, but he's fine as an attorney general as well. Maybe he's waiting. He's taking his time for Greg Abbott to get his time in the shine before he steps up. But obviously, he's behind Rochelle Garza with 5% of the vote in. These are the early Democrat leads that we've come to expect in a lot of these states that are going to be big coming soon as more and more votes come through, and we start to see if they hold on to that or not. That is going to be a very interesting thing to see as third party actually has quite a bit right there. You know what? Speaking of third party real quick, I want to take a quick look at something. I was already going to go and check in on Georgia, but I want to check in with Brad Raffensperger. Now, I've spoken to a few friends of mine that live in this state. I know a few conservatives in Georgia that actually voted for the Democrat because they hated Brad Raffensperger that much. Now, I don't know if that's the smart thing to do, letting a Democrat run the election or letting a ratty Republican Ratburger do it, but I think you can see that. Now, obviously, it looks like he's holding on so far with 40% of the vote in Georgia in for the Secretary of State race. That's going to be good. I think actually this probably just reached that tipping point where the Republican votes start to actually outweigh. But still, that's going to be something to keep an eye on with Brad Raffensperger. Too early to call, however, we're approaching that halfway point. Now, what you've all been waiting for, the Senate race in Georgia, it is getting closer. It is getting closer. Herschel Walker has shrunk that lead from Raphael Warnock down to just 10 percentage points, 10.1 points to be exact, between Herschel and Raphael Warnock, with Warnock in the lead right now. And that is only with 38% of the votes in. Remember, I predicted that at 45%, we would see the official tip and point of no return for Herschel Walker being in the lead. That's still where I hold for now. We'll see if that goes on. That's like 5 or 6 percentage points away of the expected votes to be tabulated in for that. So it's still plenty to keep an eye on, but Herschel Walker is doing very, very well in catching up. A lot of these counties are filling in, some of them blue, a lot of them still are very early in their counts. This county's at 58%, and I think that's going to come through to fill in and be red, as a lot of these are. And we can literally watch more and more red counties fill in. It's a beautiful sight. But with that being said about Herschel Walker, who is not performing quite as well as Brian Kemp, I think Brian Kemp might already be past the point. Let's check in on the gubernatorial. Oh, it's close. Oh, it's close. If I were Stacey Abrams, I would be ordering my Uber to Golden Corral already to eat my stress away, eat my sorrows away, because Stacey Abrams is now almost about to be dragged away from 50% and put to sleep by Brian Kemp, a food-induced coma, if you will. All right, I need to stop being so disrespectful to Stacey Abrams. With 38% of the vote in, this is looking like it's going to be a bloodbath already. And remember, 45% is the point I predicted of the no return Republican flip side for the Georgia senatorial. So gubernatorial, I'm saying, might be like 43% before that flips over. This could happen within the next 10 to 20 minutes. So more and more votes are starting to finally come in Georgia, still less than half of the votes in. This looks like it might be a bloodbath for Stacey Abrams. She's definitely not making a runoff. Now, I'm not calling anything yet, but I don't know, folks. I don't know. Speaking of called elections, we're going to check in on Decision Desk HQ and see if they've made any more calls. They're doing some updates in Virginia 10, some more House races, interesting to keep an eye on. However, we're not focused too much on those. I'm focused more on Senate and gubernatorial and then kind of overall House races. Oh, however, I am interested in this one. Caroline Leavitt, who is a Gen Z Republican running in New Hampshire, who I've met. It's running against Chris Pappas, the incumbent up there, and that race is at 24%, with Chris Pappas at 58 and Caroline at 41. So definitely interesting thing to keep an eye on. If she wins, she'll be among one of the first Gen Z generation people to make it into Congress. So that will be big if she wins. We'll keep an eye out on that. More and more of these races are starting to get more and more of their votes in. Obviously, this is still early votes. Early results, I should say, in Pennsylvania. But I'm definitely keeping an eye on that as things are starting to really, really come through. Let's get back over into a more global look at this if we can for Senate. Obviously, still a lot of races have yet to be called, especially Georgia and Pennsylvania. Those are the really biggest ones we're going to keep an eye on. I want to take another quick look at governor in Texas before we move on and check in on some other things. Yeah, so that number already looks like it's starting. That lead from Beto O'Rourke is already looking like it might start shrinking. I think this is the same number we saw before, but it's not going somewhere. It's not going anywhere good for Beto O'Rourke. We all know this. We all do. And that's still only 16% of the vote in. You would expect him to be in the 60s with the early Democrat runs and how things always go. You would expect it. Dickrus says, Chandler, why do you always skip over Virginia? Okay, fine. We'll check in on Virginia. It's just they don't have a Senate race. Do they have a governor going on? No, because what's his name? The guy is new. So yeah, they don't have any Senate or gubernatorial races going on. But just for you, Dickrus, for being a good person tonight, not saying anything terrible. Oh, wait. He said whistle pig. And some other things. We'll check in on Virginia. You said hung cow in Virginia. He's awesome, but probably getting stomped. I hope you weren't joking about that person's name. Susanna says, Chandler, are you suggesting Abrams is running for 2? No, stop it. Stop being rude. All right, let's check in on Virginia, though, seriously, if we can. Yeah, so let's click here. This should give us some wider results. Okay, so wow, Virginia has massive House districts. I don't know why they're so big. All right, so wow. Okay, so a lot of these are already coming through. I think most of these are incumbents that are holding on, that have been called. So yeah, a lot of incumbents holding on. Not many flips yet. However, oh my gosh. Okay, so House District 7, and that's the one that Decision Desk was talking about. If we actually go to BA7. Yeah, BA, did I? 7? Okay, there we go. BA7, and that was an hour ago. So if we look at the numbers now, Y. Vega, who's that? What's that full name? Yesli Vega, who is the Republican, is actually handing the behind of the incumbent Democrat there over to themselves. With 77% of the vote in, Yesli Vega is leading by well over 10,000 votes and almost 10 percentage points ahead. And that's with well over 3/4 of the vote in. Or a little bit over 3/4 of the vote in. That's big. Okay, you're saying he's in North Virginia, House District 10. Okay, so, well, you weren't joking about hung cow. Okay, so Okay, got it. So 73% of the vote is in so far. Jay Wexton is still in the lead. However, I don't know. This is an interesting race. This is an interesting race with Yesli Vega taking the lead, House District 7. And if we look back in 2020 and we go specifically to, if we can go to House Balance of Power and go to, say, can we do that? Or is this race not going to let us do Oh, House. There we go. So 2020 House. Yes. And then we go to Virginia and we go to VA 7. They should have had one. Here, let me just do this so you guys don't have to see me scrolling, because I think it's going to be near the bottom. So VA 5 was the only one in 2020. Okay, so no, they didn't have a race there in that year. Oh, hot races. Let me just sort this by Virginia. Okay, yeah, they did. I don't know what I was talking about. So Virginia 7. Okay, so it was already pretty close in 2020. However, as we expected, 2020 was kind of a wave year of Democrats. They obviously took both chambers. And Abigail Spanberger, who is VA 7's incumbent, won and held onto that seat. However, we look at VA7 now. Okay, yeah, it is a Spanberger. Okay, cool. I just didn't take close note of the name. She appears to be losing, and it looks like it might not even be close. We'll see. So still 77% in, but that is to put into perspective. Obviously, there was only a 2 or so percentage gap between the candidates last time around in the end with Nick Freitas versus A. Spanberger. But now with Y. Vega versus A. Spanberger, it's looking like it might be a thing. But if we take a look historically at House District 10, for example, Jay Wexton versus A. Andrews in 2020, that was a much, much wider gap. Meanwhile, this time around, it's not as wide. It is not nearly as wide. In fact, it's only about 7,000 or so, less, 5,000 or so votes between these two. And that's still with 73% of the vote in. There could be more votes counted. As you guys know, generally speaking, Democrats get that lead at the beginning and start to fall off in some of these eastern states that are more historically Republican, like Georgia, Florida, and semi-Virginia. So H-Cal might be on the highway to taking House 10. Thank you for having me look into that, Chris. That is very, very, very interesting. I want to take a look at some more House races in Georgia, because I haven't been paying too much attention to House, because I've been really focused in on Senate and gubernatorial, but I should give a little bit of attention to House races, especially since some of them might actually matter to me. Rich McCormick, who's running in House 6, won against the Trump-endorsed candidate. That was actually a really big upset against Jake Evans back a few months ago. Rich McCormick currently holding on against B. Christian, but that's still with only 25% of the vote in. Lucy McBath is looking like she will take home the bacon against Mark Gonsalves in House District 7. House District 8, 9, 10 have already been called for the Republican incumbent holders, and Mike Collins in House District 10 is looking like he will take it as well, as we expected. So yeah, and Marjorie Greene. Oh, look at that. That's just a beautiful thing. So, yep, a lot of holds in Georgia. It doesn't look like we're seeing any House level flips yet. I'm not seeing anything. In fact, I don't even see a single blue race that hasn't been called. Ooh. Okay, E. Johnson versus R. Allen. That's with 31% in the 12th congressional district. Very interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. I would doubt we'd see a Democrat flip here. That is still with 31% in. Yeah, no, that's not happening. That's definitely not happening. They'll call that eventually. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything competitive in Georgia insofar as House. So we'll see. I think it's going to stay pretty much the same, just kind of exchanging of hands and different names, but still kind of holding the same district numbers. As we saw before, redistricting in Georgia did do a number on how some of the things looked, but the numbers are going to look very similar, with Democrats just migrating themselves to new districts and Republicans holding on to the ones they've had, like House District 10 exchanging hands from who is it? Jody Heiss now to Mike Collins, or Rich McCormick occupying the new 6th congressional district, and House 7th district now going to a Democrat instead of these two districts being both Democrats. So now the redistricting kind of balanced things out a bit in Georgia to make it a bit more competitive for Republicans. So a good sign there, which will definitely help Republicans push even further for that Republican House majority. But that's still something to keep an eye on as we make for even more results coming in more states. It has now been called for the Senate in Vermont without a single vote in, that Mr. Welch will hold on to or Mr. Welch will get the Senate seat. I don't know if he's the incumbent or not. No, it doesn't look like he is. So he's going to be the senator in Vermont, as I'm sure most of us expected. We're still keeping an eye on Georgia and Pennsylvania. Not much to be said, yeah, especially for Pennsylvania. Let's take another look in Georgia. We gotta. Okay, that lead is starting to shrink. We're approaching that 45% tip over point that I predicted, and it looks like I might be a little bit off. It might have been a little bit early. It might be more like 47, but we'll see. But Herschel Walker is now at 46, with Raphael Warnock at 52. I would be sweating a bit if I was Warnock, but not scared quite yet, as the numbers are still updating. More votes are coming in. I think Herschel Walker just lost a bit of the advantage he had, but more and more of these places are starting to fill in. And let me tell you, a lot of people are going to have Georgia on their mind as this stuff gets heated. Oh, it happened, folks. It happened even before I predicted. Brian Kemp has now taken the lead against Stacey Abrams to be the next governor of Georgia in 2022. Brian Kemp is now at 50.4 with Stacey Abrams at 49.0. Brian Kemp with 840. Oh, make that 856,000 to Stacey Abrams at 827,000. And that is now with 41% of the vote in. It is over for Stacey Abrams. Call it. Call it. The second a Republican takes the lead this early, especially in a state like Georgia, call it. It's over. It is over. Now, if the Democrat holds on to the lead for a while, especially into the 75% range, it might be a problem. It could be a problem. It might be a sort of narrow. It might even get to a runoff. That's what we saw with Loeffler and the other candidates in 2020. But this is already looking like it might just be a bloodbath for Stacey Abrams without the room or chance for a runoff. And I don't know when the last time we had a gubernatorial runoff in Georgia was, but it would definitely be historical to see Stacey Abrams bring Brian Kemp to one, considering I don't think she did last time in 2018. Regardless, though, Brian Kemp now has a runoff-proof lead with 50.6%, and it looks like, in my opinion, this is going to hold. He might dip a bit below 50% at one point, probably around the 50% of the expected vote-in mark, but we'll see as they go up past 50%, really hold on to that. It's going to be a good thing. Please, it's going to be a good thing. It is going to be a good thing. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. I really am. More polls will be closing in just 30 minutes at 9 p.m. with Louisiana, Arizona, New York, and a few other places. I'm definitely going to be keeping a close eye on New York. That gubernatorial election might go somewhere because Kathy Hochul is so very unpopular in New York. Now, I think she will still win. I don't think New York has runoffs or anything like that, but I do know that she is rather unpopular. It's still a blue state. She's probably going to win, but I think this might be one of the closest gubernatorial elections we've seen in New York in a very long time. So I'm definitely going to keep a close eye on Hochul versus Lee Zeldin as we see more and more results come in. And then lastly, at 10 p.m., we'll have Nevada and Montana, Wyoming, and a few other places finally starting to come through. So that'll be interesting. And then lastly, at 11 with California and I think that's Oregon, or no, that's Washington. You know, throw your hands up. We don't really care about those states. 11 p.m. It's a little late for things, so that's when we'll probably be wrapping up, keeping an eye on some of these other places as more of their results come through. But yeah, the things happening in Georgia, man. Oh, and his lead is extending. Oh, man. All right, so Brian Kemp has done it. We'll keep an eye on that. Herschel Walker is down to him. What we need for him is to bring Raphael Warnock below a 50% lead, or for Raphael Warnock to hold on to that with 42% of the vote expected so far in. It's going somewhere. Avery Gayton says, praying for Georgia, oh Lord. So very true. I believe you. I believe you. But I also want to check in again on Pennsylvania. Oh my goodness, man. They are so very slow. Still very slow, and as you can see, Luzerne has no votes in because people are still showing up and waiting in line to vote in Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, because they extended the limit to 10 p.m., basically turning it into a West Coast state at this point. Craziness. It really is crazy. And ooh, I am so excited for Arizona as well. Thick Chris McFist, who appears to be just a representative for people in the chat because I happen to see his messages, says, yo, Crump, do New Jersey. Folks be axin'. I'll check in on New Jersey. Let's see here. You sure they are even in yet? New Jersey, is it in yet? Okay, it looks like they were they closed about 30 minutes ago. Okay, let's check in on New Jersey then. I'm pretty sure that's just a House race though, right? I don't think they have any Senate or gubernatorials going on, do they? New York, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania. It's too finicky. Okay, I think it's just House races down there. So let's check in. All right, North Dakota, New York, New Jersey. Okay, so it looks like one Democrat seat has been called so far. Yeah, it still looks like quite a few House races are still really early to call, or not even early to call, early to see numbers in. So still very early. Most people that are incumbents are holding on to the leads quite well. I'm not seeing much to write home about yet. In fact, one of the races has already been called for an incumbent Democrat. So make of that what you will. There is really only one Republican district. Oh, we do have a sort of interesting thing happening here, although grain of salt, 9% of the vote in, but T. Alexander is running well against Jay Van Drew, who is the incumbent. I want to check in on the 13th, or where is it? Okay, yeah, Darius Mayfield. Okay, yeah, I know him, and that's only 33 votes in so far. Okay, guys, whatever. Make of it whatever you want. Yeah, incumbents are just kind of really hold on. I didn't expect to see many Republican gains in New Jersey, and I don't think many people did. I mean, if they could call this state any sooner, they definitely would. They definitely would. So not much to write home to about there, but I'm happy to check in on whatever places you guys are keeping an eye on thing. Praying for Georgia, praying for Pennsylvania, says Susanna Donovan. Very true. Very, very, very true. Okay, laughable story. What do we have here? Oh, man. Wow. No way. Did that really happen? Ain't no way. There's no way that happened. Okay, hold on. Let me confirm this real quick. So first, I want to show you guys the tweet of what I'm talking about. A Democratic House candidate. When was this? When was this posted? A South Carolina U.S. No. What? Not a House, a Senate candidate? No. Ain't no way. Let's go to this one. The Senate in South Carolina. No, she's gone. She is gone. Crystal Matthews, who's running against Tim Scott to be the next senator of South Carolina and help keep the Senate blue. She don't got no Twitter no more. She deleted that joint. Well, let's see if we can Twitter KM, or I think it was right there for a second. Or let's go to her website. It actually should still be there, the link to it at least. But this account does not exist.
Stop the cap.
FBI, open up!
That was diabolical.
You cannot make this stuff up, folks. Boom, headshot, says Thick Wrist. Oh my lord, man. Oh my gosh. Help send Crystal Matthews to fight for all of us. No thanks. Can I oh, I can't even visit her page anymore. Okay, there we go. So Instagram, she has a TikTok. Let's see what her Facebook and her it just immediately begs for money whenever I click on anything. It just sent me back to this place. Wait, what? No, okay, whatever, you broken website. I don't really care anyways. That's sad. Yeah, the race. Come on, Crystal. There's still only 20% of the votes in. I mean, who cares if you're almost 100,000 votes behind? You know, yeah, come on, Crystal. Come on. Now, if you're running in a place like this, you have to know that you might not have the highest shot. You might not have to, but still, I mean, come on. You got to be doing something. You can't delete your Twitter, man. Yeah. I feel bad. I feel bad. The Law 333 is in the building. Says, am I watching a Vine compilation?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we got some cool things. A new big story coming from a campaign that's been a long time coming. Arkansas and the gubernatorial race. It hasn't been called here, but Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the former press secretary, Is it Sarah Huckabee? Yeah, it was Sarah. Yeah. Okay, it's just been so long since she was press secretary. She resigned a long time ago. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, former press secretary for Trump, running for governor in Arkansas. Apparently, okay, well, where'd you get that? Was called. Let me go to Decision Desk HQ. Let me go back here and see if they've had any new callings or if they've called it for Arkansas. I'm not seeing that. Ooh, we've getting votes in on Texas. We'll check in on TX34 in a minute. Okay, no votes in Arkansas at all. Let me try this one. Governors, Arkansas. Okay, so Fox has called it, but like, you know, they called it for well, that's governor. Well, that's interesting. They have a split ticket there. Okay, Arkansas though. I mean, hey, that's nice, but there aren't no votes yet. But hey, make of it what you will. It is a pretty Republican state, so I guess Fox calling it isn't out of the ordinary. Decision Desk. I'm not going to Benny's page. Okay, let's go for this then. Let's check in on Texas now. I want to go to Texas House first. Okay, Texas, right, should be down here. Okay, Texas. So there's a lot of seats to get in Texas, obviously, and I want to check in on some of these. So Dan Crenshaw, oh my gosh, House District 2. All right, well, that'll be interesting. Republican taking House 3. And is that a traditionally Democrat district? Based on these numbers, I guess not. Republican incumbents appearing to hold on. Dang, is there not even a Democrat in this district? Hilarious. Okay. 9 Democrat incumbents holding on, Republican incumbents holding on. This one has 0-0. How's District 34 going? Anything going on there yet? Why is Vicente Gonzalez listed as the incumbent there? Okay. All right, well, no votes counted quite yet, but that's interesting as well. I don't know why they're both counted as the incumbent. V. Gonzalez. He's just running for it, isn't he? Interesting. Yep, I reported that. Okay, got it. All right, well, we'll keep an eye on Texas. It's very slow for things to come through. But votes are being counted as we speak, especially in Georgia. I'm really excited to see if that flip happens. In fact, Georgia is already looking red, leaning red, because Kemp is in the lead on the gubernatorial. And for the Senate map, it's still, I bet it's still going to be leaning blue. Let's do a map instead of the chart. I don't like the chart. Warnock is still looking to be in the lead. Stop. North Carolina, Pennsylvania. Okay. Oklahoma. All right. Okay, numbers are still filtering on in. Ooh. Okay, let's check in on Ohio real quick. We're gonna give that a good look down here in Ohio. Obviously, still early to call, but wow, that lead has shrunk. That lead has shrunk. Look at that between Tim Ryan and JD Vance. Oh my goodness, and it has not been that long either. JD Vance is only now 11.6 percentage points behind Tim Ryan. Wow. And those are a lot of counties already coming through. What is this big blue area up here? Let's compare it to 2020 in that area up here. I don't think they had a thing like that. But if we go to presidential, or just go to states and then go to Ohio and take a look at these counties. And this is a state Republican President Trump won. Am I looking at their same state? It looks different. Oh, it's just tilted for some reason. Okay, well, tilted because that's probably how the state actually is. So I don't know what's up with this corner right now being all blue. Well, there he goes. It's already fixing itself like, oh, sorry, I made a mistake here. Let me update. We got some more votes here for you guys to see. So obviously, I mean, I expect Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, and some of the counties around it, like Summit, to be blue, as they were in 2020. But I'm not expecting Trumbull, Gauga, Portage, Summit, and a few of these other ones to really go that way. So this is going to be big. And these are not like small counties. These are heavy-hitting counties with tens of thousands of votes. I mean, this county already has 43,000 for Tim Ryan, and that's only 30% of the votes expected in so far. So clearly, this is going to be very, very big. Like I said, they get an early Democrat run, but if that run starts to shrink fast, like it appears to be doing with J.D. Vance versus Ryan, somebody start cracking your fingers together and calling. Somebody start making calls, because this is not going well. Brother Malachi just says, laugh. Can we get a stop the cap, please?
Stop the cap.
You got it, Brother Malachi. Nice to see you again, by the way. I hope you've been doing well the last couple of weeks. And that's only with 33% of the vote in. And oh, yep, JD Vance just gained while I was looking away. That's good. That's real good right there. That's just some yummy stuff right there. I really like to see it. Let's take another quick look at Pennsylvania before we check in. We now have 20 minutes until polls will begin closing in some more states, including Arizona, which gets into what Lixon and I says, has AZ results come in at all yet? Nope. They will start coming in at 9 p.m., probably for everywhere but the place we want, which is Maricopa County, because Maricopa is stupid, all right? As always.
Because I'm stupid.
So it's going to take a little while to get all the results from Arizona, but I think we'll be able to see some things quite early. Now, I'm sure Katie Hobbs is going to have an early Democrat run, but Carrie Lake has been doing very, very well. Carrie Lake. You don't think Texas and Michigan are in trouble? Depends if you're talking about the gubernatorial races. I don't know. Oh, yeah, Michigan's gubernatorial with Tudor Dixon. I haven't checked in on that. Has Michigan even begun reporting yet? Yeah, no, I think they drop at 9, don't they? Is that a 9 state? What the heck? That's Michigan. Oh, I'm looking at Senate. I'm stupid. Okay, there we go. Gubernatorial. Okay, so yeah, Whitmer's in the lead. I think Whitmer's gonna hold on. I don't really consider that an in trouble thing. I just think she's gonna hold on. However, if we take a quick look at some House races in Michigan, I can let you guys know once I get a deeper look at the numbers if I would say it's in trouble or not. Oh, hold on. I know what I did wrong. I'm looking at this wrong. There you go. Hot races. No, just give me Michigan. I don't want hot races at all. All right. I'm going to use the NBC website. I don't like Fox's website at all. It's funny how that has changed for me. So we go to Michigan, and yeah, plenty of things way too early to call. Did I click the wrong state? No, Michigan. This is House. Oh, what? Oh, there's barely any numbers in yet. Okay, so yeah, this is still, what is Michigan up to? The vote 42 minutes ago is when your polls closed, Michigan. Okay, yeah, okay. It's just some of these other ones that haven't been reported yet. I guess more rural-ish districts, like this big fat one up here. But the incumbents are probably looking very well. Yeah, so a lot of these are at 0. Democrat incumbents holding on. 4% in. Ooh. 4% in, and I'd expect the Democrat to be doing a lot better. And House District 6, where is that? Does that have any major... It is sort of... That's like a suburban area of Detroit. So that could be very, very interesting. That's not interesting. That's... Okay. El McLean looking very good. Yeah, so a lot of the Democratic incumbents are looking well. I'm not seeing any picks so far. House District 13 would be interesting. I'm gonna check my 2020 real quick because I don't know if redistricting affected Michigan or not, or if House District 13 was previously that way or not. Go to states. There you go, that one right there, and then go to Michigan right here and see if House District 13. How did that go before? So that's Senate House race results. Okay, so District, hello? 13. So District 13 went blue last time around. I don't understand why this is looking at me all strange, like Senate race, presidential race, House race results. Okay, so it was 7-7. Oh, I don't know why they have it like this. So, oh, it looks like Michigan lost a seat because they only have 13 this time around. Oh, okay. All right, so they lost a seat probably by a lot of people leaving Detroit and other cities in that area. So looking at that now, looking at District 13, oof, that was a heavy lead for Democrats. Rashida Tlaib is there. Oh, is that where she is still? District 13. Oh, no, she's running in the 12th district now. Oh, so maybe 13's a bit more competitive, which is why she jumped ship to a more safe seat like the 12th, which was also a Democrat seat in 2020. So 13 might be a Republican pickup, which already would hurt the state in its more Democrat leaning because of them losing a seat. So that could be very, very interesting to see on top of the already interesting looking gubernatorial race, which I still predict will go to Whitmer. But still, I mean, Tudor-Dixon ain't doing half that bad for 5% in so far. Oh, but Detroit hasn't yet. Wayne County has not given anything yet. Neither has Kent. So, yeah, it's going Whitmer. It's definitely going Whitmer, but it could be close. It could definitely be a close one. Emperor of Texas says, how about Arizona? Once again, not much new yet with Arizona yet. That drops in 15 minutes. You got your 15-minute warning. So if you are want to come back in soon, set your timers now. Go grab some coffee, grab some snacks. We're in it for the long haul tonight to keep an eye on all these states and get another thing. I mean, guys, just drop your states in the chat. I'll go through it while we have a little bit of time. Ryan says, when does Michigan's polls close? They closed 45 minutes ago at 8 p.m., I believe, unless they have like a weird time zone thing. Let me just make sure here. No, it looks like they're fully in Wait, what? Michigan is in Eastern time? That is so strange. I wouldn't believe that Michigan and New York, Georgia, and most of Florida would be in the same time zone. That's interesting. Well, their polls closed at 8 p.m., so it's not, they're just taking their sweet time like Georgia. Just taking their sweet time. Either way, that's what's going on with Michigan and their gubernatorial and their House races. Is there an attorney general candidate I recognize? Nah. Oh, Republican is owning right now. Oh, why is it saying right here polls close at 9? So maybe Michigan is in multiple time zones? Do we have any fact checkers that know more about Michigan for me? Because I don't live in Michigan. Some of y'all might tell me. Okay, this one is also saying polls close at 9. Although, maybe some of it does? All right, either way, we'll keep an eye on that. 9's coming up soon anyways. We've got more callings coming through, so let's check in on the decision desk and see if they have anything new for us to report before we move on ahead. Yep, so here's another update on the Georgia Senate race from them 41 minutes ago, though. Oh, 6 seconds ago, actually. Ooh, let's check it ourselves. This is looking good. Warnock is losing his lead fast. So my prediction isn't correct yet. We're now at 47% with Herschel Walker still trailing, but he is now only trailing by about 90,000 votes, which sounds like a lot, but can you see how close these percentage points are? Not that much. Not that much can happen and it not count for something. Raphael Warnock is only at 51. Herschel Walker's at 47.1. That lead is shrinking between the two. And we already have seen Kemp take that lead from Stacey Abrams and is currently running with it. It ain't going nowhere near Stacey Abrams. She is done. It's still too early to call. I'd say once we get to like 80% and he's still in the lead, I'd say we could definitely call it by then because Democrat votes are not coming in at that point. But yeah, man. And look, he's still gaining points. Does that mean Walker is gaining points too. He's at 910, and Warnock is at 990 still. So hey, the numbers are speaking for themselves. The numbers are speaking, and they are going somewhere. They are definitely going somewhere. Take another quick look at House races in Georgia. Like I said, not many things are expecting to be going random, weird directions. A lot of these races have already been called, in fact, and incumbent ones aren't really looking like they're going any strange ways. So that's another thing to keep an eye on in Georgia. But things are finally starting to settle down as we're finally waning into more Western states finally starting to give more results. And then there's Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania has jack squat going for it so far. With 8% of the vote in. Dude, your polls closed when? Your polls closed 48 minutes ago. 48 minutes ago. Florida basically already had told us Ron DeSantis won by now. Florida already had pretty much everything, and we're still sitting here waiting for them to tell us that Fetterwoman is going to Senate. And yes, I do think Fetterwoman is going to Senate. I'm not calling it yet, but that's just a prediction. I really think he is, sadly. But, you know, we'll see. There's only... okay. This explains a lot about these numbers, though. Because Fetterwoman is going to take those hard districts with the big cities, Harrisburg, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh. He's going to take those. So obviously he's going to be at 80% right now, and Oz is only going to be at 78,000 votes. But as you can see, more of these other counties are starting to take hold. He's going to gain, as he just did, 0.5% points right there. That is good. And there's so many blank counties because this place is just taking years, and Luzerne might not report until next year. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? Oh, and we have new results coming from Florida as well. It appears that Matt Gaetz will hold on to his House seat in Florida, which was expected. Neil Dunn, Matt Gaetz, I think both of those were the incumbents, are holding on. So great news if you're in Florida and you were in support of these candidates. It is good. And holy crap, another big gain for Florida. A. Bean has beat L. Holloway, cementing Florida very much further along as a full-on red state. Let's once again compare that to 2020. That's House District 4 and House District 7, another red pickup. To compare that to 2020 if we can right here. It takes a second. But we pull up Florida. Forget where it is, F before G. You will see here there was a lot more Democrats with House seats before, including District 4, which went to, or not District 4, it was District, oh wait, maybe there's some redistricting. Okay, so House District 4 is a new district that was made out of something else. Jay Rutherford has already been called as an incumbent. But some of these new districts that didn't have incumbents are being gained are. So that's what's happening. The redistricting, or I should say new districting, because of how many people Florida gained, resulted in more Republican seats. So this isn't even like Democrats losing a seat, at least not for most of these, except for Anna Paulina Luna technically, because, what's his name? Charlie Crist lost out. But some of these new places coming on along and taking these Democrats lunch. It's kind of sad. It really is kind of sad. Although, of course, there are still a few Democrat incumbents holding on for now, but we shall see. Pine Hawk says, God bless Florida. I like that. I like that a lot. And obviously, gubernatorial election was a straight blowout. Charlie Crist might not even hold on to a 40. He might not even hold on to a 40. No, the poor guy. Let's check in on the Senate. Oh man, Marco Rubio as well. Who's gonna be worse? It would be sad if Val Demings somehow held on to more votes than Charlie Crist. That is a gubernatorial versus a Senate race right there. That is sad. And dang, Miami-Dade. The day of Miami-Dade being vote Democrat forever is over. It's over. Oh man, Ron DeSantis. And what about their House district? Do they have a House district result yet? I think they do. I think. Oh, it's too small to count. Okay. Oh yeah, House 24. Yeah, it's still gonna more than likely heavily go Democrat in that district. But for the wider area, they're going DeSantis and what's his name, Rubio. That says a lot. That really does say a lot about how people feel in Florida right now and in general right now, which speaks volumes. Speaks volumes. Mickey Mouse better be scared. Mickey Mouse better be scared. Oh man, we now have 9 minutes until some more polls close in the states of Arizona and New Mexico, Louisiana, New York, and a few more of these Midwestern states as well that I sometimes just cannot tell from each other. I think this is Wisconsin. This is Minnesota. I get them mixed up, but you guys probably know the Midwestern geography a bit better than I do, but still, more states coming through. It's going to be a great time. And then, of course, we're still waiting on Pennsylvania because the past couple of years have been stupid. They're just stupid, man. What are they doing in Pennsylvania? I don't even know. They aren't counting half the votes. They're just sitting, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for whatever to happen. Susanna says, Chandler, look at Ohio. What do you think now? Ooh, let's take a look. All right, so we're in the Senate. Okay, wow. All right, so now at 36% of the vote in, J.D. Vance is gaining quickly. J.D. Vance, and I think J.D. Vance is outperforming Raphael Warnock or Herschel Walker. Let's do a quick comparison of current results in Georgia right now. I want to have these side by side real quick. Oh no! Oh, it's happening! It's happening! Raphael Warnock is about to fall below 50%. We might watch it happen live right now. With 52% of the vote in Georgia in, Raphael Warnock is now at 50%. Herschel Walker at 48.3. If Warnock cannot hold on to a 50% and it goes to a runoff, it's over. It's over because there is a Libertarian candidate in Georgia right now. I think it's Shane Hazel for the. Okay, I'm not even gonna bother to try and collapse that. It is Libertarian candidate here. Yeah, no, Chase Oliver. Shane Hazel is the gubernatorial. Chase Oliver, who is getting like 37,000 votes, 1.7%. If either one of these candidates had that extra percent, it'd be over. So you got to remember, libertarians are more than likely going to vote for a conservative because they aren't going to vote for somebody who was proving more lockdowns and all the things that Warnock has been up to. So that runoff happens. It's not going to look so great for Warnock. But if he can escape it, that's the one way he has a guaranteed ticket to stay in Washington. But Warnock is He just lost it. He just lost it. It is all over for Raphael Warnock. Now, of course, 52% of the vote is still out, or 52% of the vote is still in, which means 48% of the vote is still left to be counted. That's an estimation. But, oh man, you guys got to remember, once you get to that late end of the vote, that is when it gets real red, especially with these counties down here that some of them still have 0 votes in. And you know dang well that these counties are, shotgun loving, pickup truck driving, corn plant harvesting people that will not stand for some Democrat running their state or representing their state in the Senate. So Herschel Walker is looking good. He's looking good so far. And also, those numbers are purely not that far either. Raphael Warnock's at 1,062,000 and Herschel Walker's at 1,030,000. That lead between them is shrinking and it's getting very, very close. All right, I got distracted. Let's check back in on Ohio. A similar thing is happening. And I think you can use Georgia as an amazing placeholder for what Ohio might do next. J.D. Vance is at 47.1. Tim Ryan's at 52.9. I don't believe there is a runoff in Ohio. I may have to double check that, but if there is, any Ohioans can correct me. But Tim Ryan with J.D. Vance versus J.D. Vance, that number, it's shrinking fast. It is shrinking fast. Somebody said, David says, your screen is out of focus and we can't read it. Is anybody else seeing that? It looks fine on my end. Let me know if you can or can't read my screen. For the most part, I'm just reading things out loud because a lot of this stuff is going to be small to see anyways. It's just really unimportant numbers. The big numbers to report on are these here, and then there are percentage numbers as well. And yep, there he is. He's gaining points as we speak. He's getting ran down. We now have 4 minutes until votes from Arizona should finally start finding their way into our grubby little hands. So I'm going to take the time we have left to check in. Lastly, on Pennsylvania, I would do that, but that's just not a thing I can do right now. Everybody says looks good to me. Okay, great. A tiny bit blurry, but that might be my eyes. All right. Okay, yeah, still more numbers left to be reported between Oz and Fetterman, but wow, it's getting somewhere. Here, you know what? I'll do this. I will do this. That way we can. Oh, you know what? It is that. I didn't even know that. Oh, whoopsie. Let me fix that for y'all. Nope, that one. Okay, there. So I can do that then. Let me split the numbers here. I was thinking I couldn't, but I can do a little something like this and split the numbers between you guys so you can see it. I didn't know I had it on display capture. So I'm going to flip it between Ohio just to give you guys another quick demonstration here of what we're talking about. Ohio versus Georgia with the Senate race. The numbers are small here, but you'll be able to see Herschel Walker and J.D. Vance are... Actually, J.D. Vance is performing actually quite a bit well. Oh, you know what? Hold on. Display capture, please. Oh, it's on the wrong display. Can I do this one? This one. No, not that one. No, not that one. Display that one. Okay, there. Now flip it like this. Now you guys can see. Okay, good. Finally got it all set right. Thank you for all the feedback. I'm on a cell, so it might be me. Oh, thank you for the feedback either way. But Tim Ryan, Raphael Warnock are performing. Oh my gosh, he's losing that lead so quickly. I love to see it. But JD Vance and both Herschel Walker and JD Vance are running that lead down on Tim Ryan and their respective Democratic opposition, which is a very good sign for both of their race prospects. Very, very, very good sign. And especially since they're both still have a lot of votes left to be counted. Now, that can, of course, be a negative thing as well. Who knows? Maybe Fulton decides, oh, wait, we have another 100,000 votes to suddenly cast and count. But if that doesn't happen, I don't know. It might not be a good time for some of these candidates. It might not. So we'll see. We shall see. But either way, with these votes starting to come on in and more things starting to drop, we now have just 2 minutes until Arizona should finally start giving us some more information about what is going on. So I don't know. Arizona Senate race, gubernatorial race, it's looking big. I think we're within an hour. And oh man, look at that. Look at that. Brian Kemp now at 53. We should be less than an hour out from them finally making some calls in Georgia. I'm pretty close to calling it solidly for Brian Kemp at this point. I am pretty close because it's not looking good. And this is 54 minutes ago, and then 5 minutes ago. It is just not looking good for Stacey Abrams. If I was in the Stacey Abrams camp right now, I'd be screaming and yelling. I would be screaming and yelling. Go back to the previous screen format. Is it that good? You guys want me to stay like that? I thought it'd be a little bit too confusing, but if you guys think so, maybe I'll do that. Let me just do it like this and then flip it here. Do you guys like it, the double screen format? I thought it'd be a little bit too much, but I mean, hey, we'll keep it like this. All right. If you guys think this is better, throw a 1 in the chat. If you like the full screen format, throw a 2. Whatever you guys want. I'm serving the people tonight. I'm doing this for y'all. I'm blowing my voice out for y'all. I'm already feeling my throat start to hitch up. This is the job, the things that come with it. But you know what? I'm okay with that. How about North Carolina Senate? We'll check in on that. In a minute. I want to check in on my Rumble page. Shout out to the folks we have watching us live over on Rumble. I can't see my chat anymore over on Rumble, but I think we might still have it archived here. Shout out to the folks we have watching us on Rumble. R.U. Shackelford and Hip Hop Thinker, all the folks over there. If you guys haven't already checked us out over on Rumble, definitely make sure you do that. It's one of our great alt-tech platforms that supports our right for free speech. If you want to go over there, make sure you do it. Oh, great. You know what? Here, the numbers are too much. I'm going to make a little poll in the chat. I'll make a poll because that'll probably help us see here. Which screen format? Okay. Yeah, here. Don't worry about the numbers. I'm going to throw a poll in the chat. If you're on PC or phone, you should be able to vote on it. Dual screen or full screen. There. Okay. Now let me know what you guys want in the chat. I'm fine with either. I realized that I think I set 2 screens as 1 and then 1 screen as 2, which is a little confusing. So I just threw a poll in the chat. You guys can let me know what you think down in there. Let me read a few chat messages while we're here. We're going to check on North Carolina Senate in just a minute. However, Tim Scott, was that South Carolina? No, Tim Scott was already called for North Carolina, but we'll check in on the numbers just for you anyways. Mad Lad Dare Dad in the building says, great stream, mate. Thank you so much, Dare Dad. Malachi says, I wish someone wrote in Tiger King on some of the ballots where the DNC didn't have competition for a laugh. That's funny. Thick Wrist says, how late you streaming, Crump? Until around 11 or so, or until Pennsylvania has a solid result, Arizona has a solid result, Georgia has a solid result, and New York has a solid result. All those. 2 accounts show up on Rumble. Either one should work because I think they mirror the same stream. Okay, looks like dual screen is definitely winning, so we'll stick with this for now. All right, voices are heard. Let me know if you guys want 3 screens because I think I could do that too, but I feel like that might be a bit too much. All right, either way, let's keep an eye on things. It's a bit harder for me to manage myself because it's a bit smaller, but I'll do it for y'all. Brian Kemp has a good lead. I have them on the same page. Okay, let's go to the Senate here. Oh man. It happened. Guys, Herschel Walker has taken the lead in the Georgia Senate election. He is now at 49.2. He is now at 49.2. Both Republican statewide candidates are in the lead. It is all over. Woo-wee! Herschel Walker is taking the lead from Raphael Warnock, and it's going to extend. That was fast. And I told you guys, once these rural counties start coming in, they be like, I ain't gonna vote for no dang Democrat. It's happening. Look at that. Oh, whoops, hold on. Let me make it so that my display capture is over here as well, and get rid of that. Okay, good lord. Now it'll work like that. Take a look at some of these counties down here, and there's still more red counties to be filled in. A lot of these counties down here are solid red, and they are still waiting. So, sorry, Warnock, you're going bye-bye. You're going bye-bye. It looks like the numbers are still hovering very close. There at some point it's going to be a tie, but Raphael Warnock is not going to be able to hold with the momentum. They're like 100 votes across from each other now, but he's not going to be able to hold that momentum. And Stacey Abrams is struggling to stay in the 40s right now. So sad. So sad. Roxanne Shante says, don't celebrate yet. You know what? You're right. I won't celebrate yet. I'm not celebrating at all. You know, it's just great to see them take the lead. And it means a lot to know. And look at that. 0.01%. Hey. I'm not doing this like that. Look at that. More votes to come in. All right. Let's take a look and check in over in Arizona, because I'm receiving word that some things have happened over there. So I got to do this for two things now. Let's check governorship in Arizona and Senate. All right, so I'm gonna do it like, oh no, I have to hit this one. I gotta relearn how to do my whole thing. Y'all are messing me up. Okay, governor. Did I hit governor for both? I did. Okay, Senate. There. Okay, Arizona and Arizona. So Katie Hobbs, no votes in yet. Mark Kelly, no votes in yet. Mark Kelly is the incumbent for the Senate, and Arizona governor is current one is rate limited, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's go to Arizona House though, because I'm expecting we'll see something really, really interesting with some of these candidates. Like, there's a candidate named Lesko. Lesko Brandon. Oh man. I received word that Gosar and Arizona had already... Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's been called for Gosar. Not a single vote in, but in the 9th Congressional District, which is... Oh, that's a big one right there. Has already been called for Paul Gosar. So it looks like he will be holding on. We will be holding on. Go red or go to bed. I like it. I see that as my future. That's not the plan. Yeah, so there's still plenty to keep an eye on with these, but hey... the results are now going to be finding their way in, and it should be very interesting to see how things go in Arizona. I want to take another quick look at Texas, so we'll hit governor and Senate. Nope, I hate that. Okay, governor and Senate. There you go. And we'll see now here in Texas. Texas doesn't have a Senate right now. It's just governor. So let's go to House on this page then. And keep an eye on... Oh, so Greg Abbott has now taken the lead in that race. The Democrat lead has been lost. Let's take a check-in on Texas races here. Can we go to Texas? Okay, there you go. So Republicans taking a good hold on some of their incumbents here. No votes in Dan Crenshaw's race, and that race has not been called yet. Very, very interesting, considering they did call it for Gosar. I wonder who's managing these things. You guys know, I got to check in on Texas 34. My girl, Mayra Flores, which I still don't know why they list two incumbents here. Maybe because it's a historically Democrat district? I don't know. It was called Debbie Lesko in 8 as well in Arizona. It was called for Debbie. Yeah, I saw that. D. Lesko. I saw that as a call in Arizona. I did see that. Has captured the lead. Yep, I said that. Okay, great. Okay, not many votes in on some of these places yet, and not many calls yet. But when did Texas dropped? What time? Texas dropped at 8. Yeah, okay, Texas dropped at 8. I'll keep this on this thing here, and I'll keep the historical. Oh, this will be good since I have the historical thing here. I can finally do a side-by-side comparison of that. All right, I'll keep that in mind now. I should have that for y'all, and then I probably have this here as well. I need to manage my things here now that I'm running 2 screens for y'all. Hope y'all like it. Well, we're going to go over this in a minute as well. I haven't gone over that yet, but it'll explain a lot of the things going on with why these votes are looking like the way they are, which is an amazing thing. Let's check in on the Decision Desk HQ Twitter and see if they have anything new for us with the North Carolina U.S. Senate. Oh, you're right. Okay, yes, I'll check in on North Carolina. I've got it confused with North Carolina and South Carolina. My fault. We're going to go to Senate over there. Very good. Thank you for reminding me, whoever said that earlier. Good job on that one. North Carolina. Okay, so Ted Budd has a slight lead against Sherry Beasley. And wow, that's with 67% of the votes in. That is a nail-biter. That is actually a nail-biter right now. We can go to the counties. He's winning most of the counties, but those counties that have Charlotte, Raleigh, and Greensboro are going to really count. They're going to really count. Y'all, Donis says, love the dual screen. I didn't think y'all love it that much, but okay, y'all got it. All right, well, we got the dual screen going. Yes, wow. These third parties, they really can't take from these mainstream candidates, which is why they have a lot of power. Even if you don't vote for a third party candidate to win, you can really damage a mainstream candidate like Ted Budd, or I guess maybe Cherry Beasley. Could be either or both. But that, wow. Okay, let's get a little bit more granular with this. And actually, what I want to do is run a by the by comparison between Charlotte. And I know they didn't do a Senate race in 2020. At least I don't think they did. I would be surprised if they did. But I want to compare the presidential, if I could. Yeah, so we'll do it by states if we can find that. I don't think I have. There it is. Okay, states, and then North Carolina. I really want to get down to the business about this one and compare these counties. If there are more counties that are going for. Okay, so here's what this looks like. The makeup of these counties. So we have a big blue blotch up here. That's normal. Oh, we have Martin County, which went red before, but is going blue right now. And that has 54% in. Oh my gosh. Did the Budd campaign drop the ball? Okay, how close was that? Because it was, well, it is a small county, so it's not like it's a big thing. But that county went 6,500 for Donald Trump, 5,900 for Biden, 3,200 for Cherry, and 1,800 for Ted. And that's 54% of the vote estimated in so far. So, very, very interesting. These are some smaller populous-wise counties, so they don't have a big impact, but it is a big blue blotch. As for plenty of these other counties, a lot of them are already showing red. I think we just need to wait for a lot more of these numbers to come in. In fact, let's take a look in here. So a lot of them are at 50% so far, although some of them are in the higher spots. So this might actually really come down to a nail-biter. And if we have any North Carolinians in here, can you confirm or deny whether or not North Carolina does runoffs? I'm not quite sure. That is really, really interesting. Okay, so we're going to keep an eye on North Carolina. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. We'll keep it high on the list. I got it confused with South Carolina with Tim Scott. But Budd, it's not showing the last name anymore, but Budd, whoever that guy is, I think Ted Budd. There it is. Okay, Ted Budd and Cherry Beasley. Neither of them are incumbents. Ted Budd is a representative of the 13th Congressional. And you know what? What I want to do real quick is 13th Congressional District, North Carolina. I want to check what is that district. If I slide this over here, it's a district. Well, it's not going to show it like that. Here, I'll use this. This might be a bit better for that. Okay, so the 13th Congressional District, and then we use this, and we go to 13. So there, he won that 267,000. So that's a big district, and him being the person of that district, and here's the counties in that district. So Alamance, Forest. Oh, no, I think I'm looking at different things. Forest County? No, that's the incumbent. No, that's a person. Okay. So Budd results 13. And he's gaining a bit, so it's not going to be out of nowhere. But this is really, really interesting. We're seeing a few different races here, but yeah, wow. Okay. Fascinating. Very, very fascinating. Okay. We're going to keep an eye on this for sure because this history is looking very, very interesting. Somebody said check in on Missouri. We're going to do that next as we wait for more results from Arizona. And was that the Missouri Senate race? All right. I got you. Missouri Senate race. And then see if they have any House races to keep an eye on as well. Where is Missouri? It's up here. Wisconsin. Huh? There it is. I forget Missouri is always that state that's down there. And then Minnesota. Let's just do it like this. Never mind. I'll find Missouri on the map here again. Minnesota. It's so finicky. House seats. No, that's not what I'm looking for either. Let's focus on the Senate first, since that's what you asked for. Wow, okay, it's not even close yet. With only 6% of the votes in, I mean, I don't think this is really surprising many people. But 61.8% for Trudy Valentine, with only 36.8% for Eric Schmidt. It's not looking great. And then we can get this House races here like this. Wow. Okay, one seat so far. Corey Bush, I recognize that one. It's not looking too out of expectations right now. It really isn't with Missouri. Not really any pickups yet. It is still really early with the votes there. In fact, I think Missouri just got called, just closed. When it was, Missouri looks like it closed just at 9. Yeah, it closed 11 minutes ago. So yeah, we're expecting some of these things to come in as time goes on. But as for that Senate race, that is something. And Missouri is a state that went for Biden in the past, I'm quite sure. Biden in this past race. Let me check here. Missouri. The alphabet is so hard. Missouri. Is that a state that went? Okay, there's a state that went for Trump. but it's looking really strange. It's just early. It's just early. That might go. That's probably going to go red. That has a good chance of going red with how these things look, because that's it. You know, like we mentioned with the Herschel Walker race and the JD Vance race, these are things that kind of start off one way and then eventually they kind of move on along. And so that's something we will get as we go. All right, where are we? This is still just like the overarching thing here. So let's just go back to this Senate and then go to Missouri as things are coming on. They just closed. Okay, so more things are starting to come in. I think that's going to definitely shrink really fast as more and more stuff starts to come in. NBC has a little bit of a different number. Neither one of them are incumbents, so that definitely has a bit of weight to it. I think the current Missouri senators not running again, whatever it may be. Cleveland County, New Mexico governor, we'll check in on that. I haven't heard much about that race at all, so that'll be very, very, very interesting. Okay, so that's what's going on with Missouri. Definitely interesting things. I want to check in on Pennsylvania real quick. Oh, New York. Ooh, New York is dropping. Okay, we'll check in on that later as well. But Pennsylvania is what I'm a bit concerned with right now. So we'll pull up Pennsylvania gubernatorial and senatorial. So right now, both Democrats have a very similar looking lead. However, looks like... Oh, here, let me pull these up so you guys can see them just a bit better. Looks like Oz is going to be having a bit more of a lead than Mastriano, both with 13% of the votes in so far. Fetterman at 67%, Josh Shapiro at 71%. Very, very interesting. A lot of people have regarded Josh Shapiro as a much stronger candidate than John Fetterman, but I've also heard Doug Mastriano, I should say, is a much stronger candidate than Oz. So this is a much more competitive, but also not competitive race in a way. But interesting, we can see this county lineup here. The counties are looking like they're matching for the most part, so it's kind of going down the line as to be expected, although some counties are reporting while others aren't. Like Blair County has 33% in for that race, while, it just updated, which means that Mastriano should gain a few points there. Okay, 27-1 to 30.5. Okay, well, it's definitely easy to see how this is a thing that's taking its sweet time, especially with Luzerne County having absolutely nothing to give. Oh, Ron DeSantis is giving a victory speech. Ooh, should we check in on that? I guess we should check in on that while we wait for some more things to come on along. We'll go to that real quick. We'll see if that's on YouTube. Just for y'all real quick. Let me make sure I'm on this account so we don't have to deal with that. And let's go to DeSantis victory speech. Is he live right now? There's the one from 4 years ago. What a throwback. And then live. Lee TV live. Newsmax. Are you sure? I am not seeing that. Let me go to his Twitter and see if that'll probably have it. I think it might. Whoopsie. All right. DeSantis. Let's just go to his page and see if he's posted anything or he's got like a live stream going. It's election day. Make your voice heard and go vote. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. He hasn't posted anything. You know, a lot of candidates kind of go radio silence during elections. So, hey, it is what it is. AOC and Ilhan Omar won re-election to House. Okay. We'll keep an eye on that. Warnock takes back the lead with 58% reporting. Okay, I heard about that in the comments. We'll check in on Georgia soon. Interesting. I'm not seeing anything from Ron DeSantis, so that's fascinating. Once again, another check-in with the numbers in Pennsylvania. Oz gaining almost an entire percentage point in just a few moments there. That is insane. Mastriano still trailing quite heavily, but of course, 15% of the vote in is not saying much quite yet. We'll circle back to Georgia real quick before we move on and check in on some of these newer places. So let's do House or Senate and governorship. Both in Georgia. Raphael Warnock has taken the lead back, and wow, by a good margin too. So as many said, don't celebrate too early. We weren't necessarily celebrating, but it was all right, we were celebrating that he was taking the lead. But of course, we can see these things flip a bit. 63% is still a good ways to go, though, with Warnock at 51%. Brian Kemp holding on for now, although Stacey Abrams is returning with a vengeance. Isn't that something? Was my joke about Fulton County deciding to have 100,000 more votes not much of a joke? I don't know. That is fascinating to say the least. Really, really fascinating. There's still a few more red districts down here that have a bit more places they can go. I'll move my thing over here so you guys can see these around here in the middle of the state that still have a good bit of reporting left to do. So it could explain why this Republican candidate isn't keeping up with the pace that Warnock. In fact, Warnock has now jumped a whole 100,000. Where did these 100,000 new votes come from, huh? That's hilarious. Okay, well, either way, 63% of the vote in so far for that race. Kemp is holding on to the lead, but you know what? If Walker can lose his lead that fast, who knows how fast Kemp can just snap his fingers instantly. He has no votes, and Stacey Abrams walks away with all 3 million votes in Georgia, and she eats us all alive. It's an interesting thing to say the least. I don't know. We're going to keep an eye on that, but wow, these things happen fast, folks. These things happen fast. We should see it soon. Ken Andrew confirms Ron is giving a victory speech. We'll go to Fox's YouTube. They probably have it up there, if anywhere. I think they should, at least. Fox News. Well, they have midterm results. Oh, there you go. Celebrates landslide victory.
In a few moments, you are going to do the thing that the rest of America has been waiting to hear.
Oh, it's so quiet.
Cheer for the newly re-elected Democrat-beaten, freedom-standing
indoctrination.
Okay, so this already happened.
We chose law and order over rioting and disorder.
Come on, Fox. You can do better than this with your audio. So quiet.
Refuge of sanity when the world went mad. We stood as a citadel of freedom for people across this country and indeed across the world.
Very well. If you guys want to watch that, that's available over on the Fox thing. I think that just ended. Their audio was terrible, so we'll have to find and see if anybody else has sources for it. In fact, I probably could find something on Twitter. But okay, there we go with the races. 64% still on the line there in Georgia. Plenty to keep an eye on, folks. Plenty to keep an eye on. And remember that 50% number is the magic number in Georgia for runoffs. Brad Raffensperger appears to be taking his lead, I guess, in his camp's eyes, thankfully. So it looks like that might not be going to a runoff either. But, of course, 64% is still very early. Who knows? It hasn't been called yet. Nothing in Georgia has been called yet. A lot of people take Georgia very, very carefully these days. So make of it what you will. It's going to be what it is going to be. And a lot of people are very, very nervous about what could come from this state. And that is for very, very good reason. With more of these Senate seats starting to take shape, we are seeing more and more callings in South Dakota and North Dakota, with both Jay Hoven and Jay Thune taking their rightful places to continue being senators for North and South Dakota, funnily enough. Alabama has been called for Kay Britt a little while ago. Didn't cover that. North Carolina still very close to call at 70% just about. We're going to keep a close eye on that one as things go. And Arizona should finally start seeing some results filter on in very, very soon. Ooh, Colorado. Okay, we'll check in on that as we go as well, though not so closely. I want to take a peek at Ohio again, because Ohio is so very, very interesting, and we'll go for their gubernatorial as well, because I think that should be fascinating as well. Oh no, yeah, that one's already been solidly called. I don't understand. Oh, JD Vance has taken the lead against Tim Ryan. Okay, interesting. Now that's at 45%. And you guys know how fast sometimes somebody taking a lead can be snapped right back away. But that is interesting. J.D. Vance taking the lead in Ohio, 45% of the vote. Still a few red counties to be filled in, and I'm sure most of these have a couple hundred or a couple thousand votes still left to be filled in. But these blue counties, they are heavy hitters. And Cuyahoga only has 34% of the vote in so far. So don't count your eggs quite yet, folks. There's still a lot, and I mean a lot of the vote to be counted, and most of it is in these big cities. In fact, Cincinnati only has 32% of the vote, and Columbus only has 30% of the vote in, and a lot of these red places are starting to run out. Some of them already are at 94% in, 95% in. These aren't going to hold J.D. Vance hard over until the end, so that he's taking that lead now, because some of these more rural counties were taking and getting these votes put in where they need to be, but I don't know, folks. Definitely something to keep a close eye on, especially as we compare it to Georgia's Senate race, for example, which is definitely in a very too close to call stance right now, which, makes a lot of sense. I wanted to take a look at this from the Fox perspective as well, see what they have going on with their map. Can I get a map, please? I guess I can't get a map because it's too small. Let me extend it a bit. There you go. Okay, so we've got the map going on here with Georgia. Fox already has Georgia listed as a blue lean, but they base it off the results so far. With Warnock appearing to be extending his lead right now, which is interesting. Let me pull it up on here as well and see if we can get more detail, so we can have that as the map and then this one as the numbers. So Warnock is at 51.0, Herschel Walker at 47.2. This map kind of has that at that blue, which is keeping in touch with a lot of these other states that are in a very interesting position. But the main difference is that Georgia is finally crossing over that halfway threshold with This site has 65% and Fox has 57% of the vote in. So these numbers are going to start counting for a whole lot more as things go. Warnock definitely is not out of this race quite yet, and that means a lot to many people who are putting a lot of eggs in this basket for this race, and they do not want these people to hold on. They don't want Warnock to hold on, and I can understand that one with an extreme certainty. But let's set it back to middle here and keep moving on and looking at some more states, because Pennsylvania and other states have had their polls start closing up. It's 30 minutes until the last place in Pennsylvania finally closes up with Luzerne County, and we will have some more states in the West Coast start to open up as well, with Nevada and New Mexico and Utah, Idaho, Washington State, and Montana. I think that's actually all of them. Good job. And as well, we will have California and Oregon at 11. You know, make of that what you will. But hey. And never forget Alaska and Hawaii at midnight, although I think midnight for Hawaii is like, what? 7 p.m. Oh, Alaska and Hawaii. Yeah, no, I was about to say, they aren't at the same time. That's interesting. They close at similar times for us. So, hey, make it happen. These numbers are really starting to flood in, and I'm so very excited to see what happens. As for the gubernatorial race in Georgia, I'm thinking that one's still going to be called rather soon. Even though Brian Kemp is holding that lead and Stacey Abrams was appearing to slightly approach, he's holding that distance quite well. And if we check in on Decision Desk real quick, I think we might see more and more of that start to come into play, as we might see some races in Georgia begin to be called. It's a race update. Let me just go into their replies and see newer things instead of just full on. Oh, it's going to be that way anyways. Okay, fine. We go to the bottom of each tweet and see where they are at. Yeah, 5 minutes ago. Yeah, that's definitely showing something right there with Warnock jumping far ahead. But hey, there's still a lot of red places in South Georgia that have yet to be counted and plenty to be called. Let's check in on North Carolina. This is piquing my interest right here. Those are old numbers right there. But let's check in. North Carolina has just a Senate race going on right now. Unless they also have a gubernatorial race. Let me make sure they don't, just to make sure. Okay, yeah, it's just a Senate race here, so we'll make this big. So we have, okay, so Ted Budd has taken the lead from Sherry Beasley, and that is with 70% of the vote in, so it is still too early to call, but he's gaining. Oh, he just hit 50% with Sherry Beasley, now at 48 even. Very, very big. Very, very big, and that's going to hurt the Beasley campaign right there. So it looks like this might be a Republican hold for Senate, because I believe North Carolina was a Republican for both its senators up until now. So I think that's going to hold for there. North Carolina exit polls, male. Wow, good amount of female voters. That's insane. Wow. There are more female voters than male voters in North Carolina this time. Ain't that something? And the racial separation, it's okay, and a lot of people voted early in person. Wow, that's when the majority of people voted, and that's how Sherry Beasley takes that ahead, and that's how a lot of Democrat candidates take that ahead. See, let's compare that information to the Senate race in Georgia, actually, because I don't think we've looked at that quite yet. With Warnock still in the lead, he's actually almost at 51%, which is insane, and that's with officially now 2/3 of the vote expected have been counted so far in Georgia. So Herschel Walker just has 1/3 of the vote left to get if he wants to even still be in the race and make it to a runoff or win outright against Warnock. But let's take a look here. So once again, it looks like more females voted than males. What is this? What is up with this? Is this right? That's interesting. A lot of black voters in Georgia as well, 9%. Oh, man. And only 9% voted for Warnock, which I believe is an improvement. However, not a great one. Not a great one. There's still a lot of numbers that could have gone another direction. But those female voters obviously going very, very Democrat, very, very much for Warnock. But we take a look down here. Wow. Okay. So looking at it between early in-person versus election day, you can see that Warnock versus Walker lead. And this is why so many people always make it such a political issue based on how people vote, because how people vote does often determine which person they're voting for, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see that with early in-person votes. 1.6 million, 60% of the votes for Warnock, or the majority of those 60% of the votes were for Warnock. So make of that what you will. Still a good balance of those went to Walker, but it does make it very, very clear why numbers like this are so very difficult to predict and why they mean a lot when it comes to each and every one of these races. Mr. Skullcrusher says Ted Budd is at 50 and Walker is gaining ground again. He is. He still seems to be at 47.3. This hasn't updated. We'll pull up Fox real quick, and I'm going to slide North Carolina back in the frame for y'all as well real quick and see if we can run a quick comparison. That's South Carolina. Let me do North Carolina, please, for that senatorial. Okay, so here are the numbers here for both of these candidates. They're kind of like in inverse positions right now, although Sherry Beasley is actually performing a bit better than Walker. Very interesting. But of course, those early in-person votes are going to get tabulated a lot quicker than the election day votes. Very, very interesting. And these states actually are at a similar-ish place in where their votes are counted. North Carolina has a lot more of their votes counted, but it's still rather close, 66 to 72. Warnock, I mean, I'm not seeing Walker approaching anything yet. I'm not seeing him catch up in any way. So we will definitely have to see what happens here if anything develops. I really want something to develop in Pennsylvania. They're just taking their sweet time. They will not go anywhere. They're like counting the votes. Why would we do that? We can just do something else. Let's go like fishing or something. It's what Pennsylvania said. Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now. It just updated here on NBC. Let's check it out on Fox and see if they have a similar number thing going here. Let me just do like a... Why is this site so weird? Okay. Can I get numbers, please, for you, Fox? I would like that. Strange. I must be doing something strangely. Either that or it needs to be bigger. Here we go. Hot Races, Georgia. I haven't been using this site much, so I basically forgot. Okay, so taking a look at these number differences here. It might be a bit small for you guys because they don't have their graphic as elegantly as NBC does, but Walker is at 47.48. And Warnock is at 50.71, and I guess NBC just rounds that up. Both of these have it at, although this has it at 66%, with this is at 58.4. Wow, okay, so Georgia's definitely getting some of those votes really counted in. We can actually look at a county map and see more of these southern states are really starting to write those reds in. But of course, the big blue dot around Atlanta is holding hard. Rockdale, DeKalb, Gwinnett, I'm sure Walton, Newton, a lot of these counties hold a lot of people and a lot of Democrats, especially a lot of minorities that are continuing to vote for Democrats. So definitely shows you where the Georgia Republican Party needs to make a lot of ground if they want to be electable in the next 10 years, because that demographic change isn't going to stop. So they need to wake up a little bit on that one. 47-4 is a good start to make things moving ahead, but it is not catching up to the... It's not catching up to the speed that Warnock is getting these votes quite yet. Very, very interesting. All right, let's check in over in Pennsylvania, because that is a race that I've been meaning to take a quick peek at before more races start being opened up in Pennsylvania. Right here, gubernatorial and Senate. So John Fetterman is still holding a strong lead. Both of these Republican candidates are just really underperforming so far, and that's with nearly 20% of the vote in now. That's not going so fantastically for them yet, but of course still only like a fifth of the vote is in, so it's not getting very, very far yet. And there's still a lot of counties still in the gray zone, so who knows what could happen after this, but this is definitely looking like it could go a lot of directions. You know, Florida was a great precursor for some very red things, but of course it's not immediately that to say, oh, everything's going to go red. Especially look at this. There are a lot of these states with governorships that are up, like a lot of them have governorships up this year, and a good amount of them that have senates up are still looking at this and saying, we don't know. Georgia, Louisiana, which I don't think they've opened yet, or they might have just opened, but Pennsylvania, Ohio, especially we're going to take a peek at that in a minute. A lot of these places are still very, very open. This is the Senate on the left here, and on the right we have gubernatorial, which is still kind of up for grabs as well. Usually gubernatorial goes very Republican on a lot of these areas. Most of the states have Republican governors, but hey, man, these things can go directions. They definitely can, and you never know what's going to happen until it's solidly over. So, hey, for Georgia, it's still Warnock in the lead, and it looks like his lead is starting to shrink again with Walker's jumping up closer to 48, and Kemp is holding his lead for now. Things can happen. Things definitely can happen. So we're going to check in on a few more of those soon, but I want to check in on this CNN exit poll that has people really, really nervous. CNN people. An exit poll says 73% of Americans are either angry or dissatisfied with the way things are going under Joe Biden. Oh no, they aren't going to like this one.
Feelings about the way things are going in the U.S. This is a bleak picture from this electorate. Look down here. 39% dissatisfied. 34% are downright angry. That's 73%, 3/4 of the electorate tell us they're dissatisfied or angry. Only 5% enthusiastic, 20% satisfied.
Oh my gosh. My biggest question isn't to the 34% that are angry. And that's a very interesting way to phrase things. Like, dissatisfied is like the normal answer you would give. Straight up angry is like, I'm ready to go torches and pitchforks at the White House. That's what angry is. So it's kind of shocking that the second closest majority is at angry. And of course, nearly 40% at dissatisfied. That's quite close to half. You put that together, that is more than most people dissatisfied. And that is, with the House, it says. Okay. And only 5% being enthusiastic. Not so great. Not so great. But how are 5% of people that are responding to this House poll, it appears, how are they enthusiastic about anything? I don't know. That's a big question that I've always wondered. I've always wondered ever since I read this earlier. And then last but not least, while we wait for Arizona results to come through, we have another Kari Lake beatdown of the press. It's a gorgeous thing. She basically announces she's going to run for governor again in 2026. It's going to be a beautiful thing. Watch this.
I'm going to not only be the governor of Arizona for 4 years, I'm going to do 2 terms. I'm going to be your worst freaking nightmare for 8 years. And we will reform the media as well. We're going to make you guys into journalists again. So get ready. It's going to be a fun 8 years. I can't wait to be working with you guys. I'm going.
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Kari Lake burning down the house on all of the journalists. But it appears we have some good, cool things coming now, as a race has just now been called by the election wizard. I'm going to do a drum roll, please, because I think you guys are going to really like this one, especially for my people that are a bit more down south. Can I get a drum roll, please? It has now been called that Brian Kemp will be re-elected governor in Georgia. Say goodbye to Stacey Abrams again. Now, of course, none of these other places are corroborating that quite yet. I don't think Fox has called that for them, and I don't think NBC has called it quite yet either. This is still saying too close to call, but with almost 70% of the vote in, and Kemp at 52%, and Stacey Abrams losing ground, going from 47 to 46, it's not looking good. It is not looking good for that candidacy right there, so push that back over to the side there. That is one early call from Election Wizard that I'm sure is going to come quite a bit solid. Quite a bit solid. So we'll see what happens with that. Georgia dodged a bullet. Shouldn't be that close. Abrams is horrible. There you go. And we also have apparently word that J.D. Vance has taken the lead. Let me take a look into that. Oh, wow. J.D. Vance has taken the lead. Did he take it earlier? Or is this the first time that he's touched it? Either way, that is cool. That is cool. 50.5. And that's with 50% of the vote in, so this still can go either way. There's still a lot of votes to count at Cuyahoga and Hamilton County and Franklin. So many votes. So I don't know, folks. I don't know. I'm not on the Tim Ryan. I'm not on the JD Vance train quite yet, but we'll see what happens. Somebody asked me way earlier to check in on the gubernatorial in Michigan, and I am not excited to report that Gretchen Whitmer is holding on quite well. Although I don't know if Michigan is one of the states that does not follow the whole Democrats in the lead early thing. But Tudor Dixon is outperforming most other Republicans that were running for gubernatorial offices in states against Democrats ever. Like she's just outperforming so far at this point with 13% of the vote in. Like Brian Kemp was at 20%, and he's the incumbent. Okay, so Gretchen Whitmer being the incumbent, Tudor Dixon being the not incumbent, and at 45.5 with 262,000 votes is massive. But the main reason for that is that Detroit, Wayne County, has 0% of the vote in. Grand Rapids, she's in the lead, but that's because they have 3.2% of the vote in. So I wouldn't necessarily say Tudor Dixon is right on the train, but yeah, I mean, it is looking good. It looks like we now have another call as well from the Decision Desk HQ. We now have an official call of Brian Kemp, re-elected governor in Georgia. It's not appearing on my feed here. Where is it? Was it? Oh, there it is. Okay, 6 minutes ago. As of 9:30 p.m. EST, Brian Kemp will be re-elected governor of Georgia for his second term, defeating Stacey Abrams once again because oh man. Will Abrams concede for the first time in her life? She will claim election fraud, obviously. And you know what? Let her. We want to investigate these things as much as we can. I'd say there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, and that is with, once again, checking in on Georgia. We'll take a quick peek here. How much of the vote is in on Georgia? What the? No. Georgia. Stop doing that. It's like loading something. Okay, Georgia. That's at 70% in Georgia, which NBC still ranks it as too early to call. But if we switch to... Oh, no, yeah, this is just NBC and Fox. Neither of them have called it yet, but that's interesting. Very, very interesting. And still a lot of counties that are still at 0 reporting, but at this point you can really call it easily, especially at 52.6%. However, on the other side of that, if we go to Georgia Senate election, which I'm pulling up on my right screen here, we could compare the numbers right now. Warnock is now at 50% even. Herschel Walker is at 48.1% even. So Herschel Walker is catching up, but I do know a good amount of people that voted on a split ticket for Brian Kemp for governor and Warnock for senator. So there could be a legitimate threat to the Walker campaign of people that voted for Kemp as governor, but voted for Warnock as senator, which, you know, I respect split tickets quite often because it means you're voting more so about who the person is in the party and sometimes what they stand for. But it's just kind of like a short circuit in my brain to even picture this as a thing between voting for Warnock and Kemp on the same ticket is kind of like out of my mind. I don't know, but you know, we'll see what happens. Of course, Warnock is just barely clutching onto that runoff proof lead, and that's for now. And with still red counties not having any votes in whatsoever, and Fulton and some of these blue dot counties finally looking like they may start running out of votes to count, it might not be so black and white for a Warnock victory. It could go the way of the dodo for the Warnock campaign. We don't know yet. With more and more people still calling in things for Brian Kemp, it's looking like this race might get even more interesting than we expected. We now have some updated callings on the Senate here as well. Let me take a look at that because they have a new map. We now have a neck-at-neck Senate race going on here. The Colorado has been called for the incumbent Bennett, which is interesting. I'd keep an eye on that, but I wouldn't expect too much coming from it. And then we also have New York being called, obviously, for Chuck Schumer. That man is going to be in That man is going to be in the Senate until he dies. He's not going anywhere. They will not let him go. But I actually want to check in on something real quick in New York. The gubernatorial election. Now, right now, and we'll compare it to the gubernatorial election in Michigan, because I think that's an awfully comparable one of two unpopular lady governors. There you go. Let me put it like right here so you can see the numbers. So Kathy Hochul right now is at 67.5. New York is on the left screen here, with Lee Zeldin trailing at 32.5 with 20% of the vote in. Gretchen Whitmer is at 52.8 with Tudor Dixon tailing with not so far behind at 45.6. Now, of course, this is to keep in note. Neither of these states have any of their heavy districts really counting for much yet. Although Brooklyn, oh my gosh, wow, Manhattan has 49% of the vote in. Queens, it's kind of really divided down there, very difficult to see, so I might do it more like this. So Albany, yeah, so it appears Kathy Hochul is definitely capturing a lot of these votes, a lot of these counties, and you know, I never thought it was going to be a very competitive thing, but Lee Zeldin is performing quite well for 19%. And once again, if I remind you guys, if I'm remembering correctly, Brian Kemp was at like 20% when the state was at 20% of the vote in, which means these people are outperforming what he was at the time. But it also could just be that a lot of these counties that would vote red are reporting their votes a lot quicker than states in Georgia did, or counties in Georgia did, which is very possible. Very, very possible, probably even likely. Checking in, Letitia James looks like she's going to hold on. It's funny because she was appearing to be a gubernatorial candidate at one point, but I guess she decided, you know what? Bump it. I'll run for attorney general. Stay home. I'll be fine. Court S says, did that happen already? No. Senate, Georgia. You're lying, right? Well, that happened fast. Let me pull up Ohio Senate just for comparison on the right screen. Oh my gosh, and JD Vance is holding on to that lead for now. And that's at 50%. Wow. Okay. Raphael Warnock has fallen below 50% lead. Herschel Walker is at 48.4%. This is with 71% of the vote in. Each candidate is at 1.448 and 1.408 respectively, for first and second place being Warnock and Walker. We're going to check in with Fox here. We're going to compare Fox real quick. We're going to do the Senate, and we're going to go to Georgia and see what that looks like here. So Georgia has Walker in the lead, Fox has Georgia with Walker in the lead, but I think that's older. I think that's older results because that's at 63% in. But Fox has Walker at 49.1 and Warnock at 49.0. So I don't know which one of these to trust. I tend to rank NBC a little bit higher with numbers, but that also might just be because I like their website more. But either one of these definitely spells doom for Warnock getting out of this without a runoff, as there are less and less votes to be counted. More and more of these blue dot counties are running out of votes. Like Fulton County is already at 70%, which means that basically take 30% of 234,000 and add it back to itself, and you'll end up with how many votes Warnock might or might not have around there. It might not hold on. It might not hold on. Now, will Walker walk away with this in an outright win? It's looking less and less likely because I would expected him to have a solid lead by now. I would expect him to be where Brian Kemp is by now. So it might go to a runoff on the Senate race. It might go to a runoff on the Senate race, but we shall see. And that's directly comparing it to the Ohio race, which I don't believe Ohio has runoffs. But J.D. Vance is at 50.5, and Tim Ryan is at 49.4, and that's with 50% in. So I think we might see something similar in these states. Especially since Hamilton County is only at 32%. Once the blue city starts dumping all the votes they have in, we might see Tim Ryan kind of jump back in the lead again. And then maybe around the 70% mark like Georgia did, Ohio will start having J.D. Vance take a lead or get closer to taking the lead like Herschel Walker is doing right now. And that's with 72% of the vote in. Still a few counties completely bare, but it is definitely getting very neck and neck, a nail biter for sure. So count your bets. Guys, grab your snacks, grab your drinks. If you've been watching all this time up now, go take a minute, rest, do something else, and then come back because it's probably about to be real crazy. I'm trying to rest and save my voice because this stuff's about to get insane. But for now, we're going to take a peek at some other states as well, see what's going on. Like Pennsylvania. Can these people dang count their votes already? Ooh, okay, Pennsylvania. All right, we're going to pull up Pennsylvania senatorial and gubernatorial here. So once again... So this is really, really interesting. Not what I expected. Oz is extremely outperforming Doug Mastriano, like extremely. There are a good amount of people that voted for Josh Shapiro and then Mehmet Oz, which might, and you know what, this actually shouldn't be surprising because of the debate. The debate between Oz and Fetterman was so horrendous that there might be a good amount of Democrats that either decided to vote for their third party, if there's a third party in this, I don't even know. Yeah, might have decided to vote Eric Gerhardt or do a write-in. I can imagine 1,000 Democrats doing a write-in because they didn't want to vote for Fetterman because they said, this guy, there's something wrong. But Mehmet Oz is starting to really catch up on that victory or really catch up on that lead against Fetterman. And Doug Mastriano, just the same cannot be said for him. And there are some really heavy blue districts right now that I believe are supposed to switch back to blue. Like, I'll hold this one here and pull up Pennsylvania on our historical view on the left here and see which of these counties went blue versus red in 2020. So yeah, most of the state went red. So there's a lot of these districts that are going to start coming out red soon that will help both Mastriano and Oz. But it still remains to be seen if that will be enough to push Oz over. And as for Mastriano, man, I don't know. It ain't looking good. With 30% of the vote in, and Shapiro has nearly a double lead over Mastriano, that's not good. That is not good. Not whatsoever. And Pennsylvania is the state that has Governor Tom Wolf, right? Is that Pennsylvania? Who is the governor of Pennsylvania? Governor of PA. I think that's right. It's Democrat Tom Wolf. Okay, yeah. So it would be a Democrat hold gubernatorially, governor speaking. So it wouldn't be that much of a surprise, but it is a real surprise to see that disparity between Oz and Shapiro. That disparity between Oz and Mastriano. And Mastriano is gaining slightly. You just gained up 0.3 points, but still, Oz has a clear road to being able to gain. Has a clear road to being able to gain on Fetterman here as more and more of these votes are coming in. Luzerne County with absolutely nothing in. Hilarious. Y'all are watching the Herschel race even closer than I am. I'm trying to show all of America love. Y'all are flooding my comments saying Herschel just took the lead. Walker just went ahead by 2,000 votes. Guys, I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying to be real fair and balanced, and I'm trying not to overdo it. I really am. Hold on, let me copy this over if I can. Window capture, and then do that so that it'll pop up. That's window capture. No, I need display capture. Hold on, let me get this set up so that it's working just right. Do I have display capture on this? Oh, I don't. It's fine. Either way, man, this stuff with Oz and Fetterman and all these different people are wow. And they're making small gains, but enough cannot be said on how difficult this will be to claw out of, especially for Mastriano. But he is at 38.2. If he can get Shapiro below that 60% threshold, which he looks like he might do soon, I'd breathe a little bit more life into that campaign. But finally, we'll check in on Georgia, since y'all are flooding my comments saying Herschel Walker, Herschel Walker, Herschel Walker. NBC still has Herschel Walker trailing by a few points, but if we check over on Fox, we can see. If we go to Georgia, let me just put this as a star or something. I don't know. Walker, no, thank you. Okay, I don't understand this though. I don't know if you guys can see this, but it says right here, reporting is at 64%. So Fox appears to have less votes than NBC does. But it also, what? Huh. Okay, so while simultaneously stating that they have less reporting in, oh, you know what it is? I'm stupid. These are predictions. I forget. These are predictions. So NBC is might be under predicting. So if we look at the pure numbers of actual votes in, Herschel Walker is at 1.5 million votes, and Warnock appears to be at 1.47 million votes. So Herschel Walker might be in the lead right now with 49.5. Wow. And that's exactly what Court S said in the chat. So congratulations, Court. You're right. Wow. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we can get kind of more of a view of this here. More of the county by county size. Is there a way where I can just make it exclusively that state, please? I would like that. I'm sure there is. I just don't know how to do it. Whatever. But you can see a lot of these counties starting to fill in red counties, which is definitely helping Warnock or Walker capture that lead. And I'm sure it's going to be reflected here on NBC soon as they kind of net a few more of these votes. They're only about 60,000 or 40,000 or so votes behind, but still. Wow. Okay. That is interesting news coming out of Georgia for that Senate race. That is very, very interesting. Oh, it's just something I've said a million times tonight, and I'll say it a million times more. It is interesting. It is interesting, okay? We're going to take a break from Georgia. We're going to check in on Arizona because we got to see what's going on with that Senate and gubernatorial race. Nothing? What? Hold on a second. When did Arizona closed 50 minutes ago? Go to Associated Press. It's just Georgia and updates every minute. Well, I tried going to the Associated Press and they kept showing me some weird article stuff, and I was just trying to hold on. I'll go to the Associated Press and show you what I see every time. Associated Press, apnews.com. Okay, so this is it. Democrats beat Trump-backed GOP candidates in liberal states. Okay, news, I guess. Election coverage, election live updates, and it just shows me like articles and such here. I want to see like charts and numbers and things, not like people feeding me things like this. Now this is just these are just calls, which is nice, but I like viewing the numbers and percentages. So, and I know Associated Press has that, but I can't find it right now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, we already know about that. It's just a wall of text, and I don't really want it at all. Let me just look up Walker. Wow, they don't even have Herschel Walker on this thing. Okay, so if you know if you have that, can you drop the link to that in the chat? And I can go to it, because if you have like their charts, I would like that. I just can't. I just Googled election live in Georgia. Okay, hold on, because I know Google. I don't really like using Google directly. And see, they're trying to feed me New York Times right here. Look at that madness. No, thank you. No, thank you. US. I could use WSB. CBS. Oh, CBS is always good. Sometimes Associated Press. So see, this just gives me the same website. Midterm elections, voting by day news, Georgia election results. That goes to Politico. So yeah, I don't know. It's not giving me much on that. Either way, let's keep going. And the map shows up, you say? All right, what about New Hampshire, Lenny asks. Good question. We'll check in on New Hampshire. There's a few House races in New Hampshire I want to check in on. And I think, are they doing a Senate race up there as well? Okay, they are. And whoa, hey, there's a Senate candidate going in up there, a Republican. It's still rather early, but that's a really good performance for only having 35% of the vote in against the incumbent. Donald Bulldog has 40.7% of that vote, and that's with 35% of the vote in. That is a generous helping. Oh, did it just update? It just updated. He's got 40.7% now. Or was that the same thing I think that is the same number I just read. No, but seriously, wow. That is a generous generous offering right there for this early. And then if we check in on the House races we have here, we can go. I just clicked Georgia. I meant to go to New Hampshire. Well, let's just do it like we'll go to. Oh, we can just do this. There you go. Shortcuts. They're very easy. What? No. Okay, here. Do it like this. There we go. Okay, good. And then drag this over. Okay, there. Now we have some of the House races in New Hampshire. Oh, there's only 2 districts in New Hampshire? Holy crap. Okay, I didn't know this. I knew it was a small state, but there you go. We'll check Oz in a minute. Billy Butcher, thank you for that. But whoa, okay, so House 2 and House 1. And I think these are both districts that generally go Democrat, but Caroline Leavitt is putting up a fight. She is less than 10 points out, and that with only 17% of the vote in, that is a fight right there. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I am legitimately impressed. And Donald Bolduc putting up a good fight. Thank you for having me look at New Hampshire. This is looking pretty good so far. And just for old time's sake, let's take a look at New Hampshire in 2020 for you guys. I mean, it wasn't very, I guess you could say it was kind of competitive. I don't know. It's gone blue every year, but Donald Trump performed quite well, if we're being honest. Yeah, I mean, hey, that wasn't so bad. If we look at some of these House races, both races easily went Democrat, and by a very wide margin, too. 51.3 to 46.2. Not very wide, but still pretty good. 65 for governor. That's governor. Where's the other House race? I don't like that it's a drop down. So 53.9. So we're looking at 53.9 and 51.3. And in comparison to what we have going on right now, 53.5 and 59.5. So it looks like the Republicans actually have a lot more ground to gain right now. And looking at the pure numbers of 25 to 29 versus 200,000 to 185,000, there's still a lot of votes left to be counted here. Well, that's comparing 100% to just 18% predicted in. Yeah, Caroline Leavitt has a legitimate shot here in House District 1 of New Hampshire. That is very, very interesting. All right, we'll take a quick look at Pennsylvania again as well as we wait for more races to call. We have 7 minutes now until what gets called? We have Nevada, Utah, Idaho, Montana, and Washington. So, or not, that's Oregon. So, not many more things to call, or not many more things to see be called, but we have definitely a lot more competitive races to check in on, like Pennsylvania, which is Fetterman's lead is shrinking more and more. He's now at 54.4 when he was at like 56 before. We'll check on John Gibbs in a minute as well. In Michigan 3, I don't know if it's John Gibbs, but I know we'll check on Gibbs. That's just the only Gibbs I recognize in politics. Mastriano is actually starting to progress a bit ahead as well. He's now at 38.7. He finally brought Shapiro out of that 60% range, so that is a good sign. That is a good sign for Mastriano's campaign, and there's still a lot of solid red counties from before. Once again, I'll compare it to what it was in 2020 to give you guys a perspective on what a lot of these counties should end up looking like. But yes, a lot of these counties are solid red. The ones that are gray right now are solid red and have been in the past. And so we can expect a lot more red votes to be coming in from Mastriano and Oz, especially as more and more of these votes finally get counted. However, again, the question is, will it be enough, especially with that sharp lead Shapiro has? I mean, he's already in the 1.1 millions, and Mastriano's barely cracking 800,000. He's starting to gain, but it's not going fast enough. However, it's still anybody's race because it's 36% of the vote in, and these things can change quite fast. They really can. So we'll check in on that as we go on along. But I want to take a look at this Oz race as well. 43.1 to 54.4. If Oz can get Fetterman out of the 50s soon, that's game over for Fetterman. It really is. And I say that as, Fetterman has been hammering Oz hard, and Oz does not have unilateral support. That's a not very strong candidate, but a very, very weak opponent. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on because it's extremely nuanced, this race, these two people. Because Oz is the makings of what people would call a carpetbagger, and Fetterman is the makings of what people would call not fit for office. So, I don't know. I'm told we need to check in on Georgia, and we will in a minute, but I'm going to check in on Gibbs and Michigan 3 for you. I'm going to assume that's a House district, so we'll go to Senate, and then we'll go to Governor so that I can get the shortcut to Senate, because a lot of these things don't let me click on it until I'm in this thing. Okay, there you go. House and House District 3. So House District 3. So Jay Gibbs, I guess that is John Gibbs, is looking very good so far. He has, oh, there you go. Let me move over. He has 58.4% of the vote with 14,000 votes. But keep in mind that is still only 7% in. And we'll compare it to a historical record as well of House District 3 if we can. That is in Michigan. We'll go to Michigan over here and see if we can see what it looked like in the past. So there's Michigan, House District 3, assuming it's a similar-ish district. Remember, a lot of these could be redistricted, but Michigan 3 went Republican before, but I don't know if it's the exact same district or not. And I think that went to Peter Mayer, who was... Oh, Peter Mayer is the person who voted for Trump's impeachment and then got primaried by John Gibbs. So it looks like it's going to be a solid, definitely a good red district, and I'm not expecting it's going to be anything crazy. So John Gibbs should walk away with this. This is a red district, solid. In fact, I'm sure if I look up the Cook score, it's something like R8, R10, could be even better. So look, I think John Gibbs is going to do very, very well. We'll take a peek on Texas in a minute. We'll take a look at Wisconsin right now. How about that? Because I actually am rather interested in Wisconsin. We haven't looked there in a minute. And I think Wisconsin has a few of these races going on. Wisconsin Senate. So, okay. 1/3 of the vote and with 33%. With the Democrat in the lead, but a lot of these, remember, rural districts, they take a little bit longer. So Ron Johnson might pull this off, but we shall see. We definitely shall see. But Mandela Barnes has the lead for now, although they're both in the 400,000. So it's really a grudge match right now. Cage match. They're fighting for it, but we shall see how much longer that lasts. And then last but not least, we'll take a quick check in on Texas as well with this Senate and gubernatorial. Okay. Or no, not Senate, just gubernatorial and House. That's what I mean. And I'll flip these around because I think I want the Senate on the left and the House on the right. So, governor. So incumbent Greg Abbott is holding on against O'Rourke very, very well. I haven't seen Abbott out of the lead since like an hour ago. This is looking very good for Abbott. He's held on to this lead quite strong, pretty consistent. 58% of the vote is in so far, which means that we are past the halfway point. And although there's still quite a few of these counties down here, most of these counties are red counties, I'm pretty sure. I think most of the blue counties in Texas are like most of these city ones, and even them. Wow, even these blue counties aren't going overwhelmingly for Beto like they did for Stacey Abrams in Georgia. Like Beto O'Rourke only has 53% in Harris County, which comprises of Houston. Or he only has 64% in Dallas County. Or even in Travis County, which comprises Austin. Wow. Okay, 74%. That's one of the more liberal cities of Texas. But still, I expected a much more supreme blowout. But there you go. Not really holding on as amazingly as I would expect Beto O'Rourke to do in these liberal places. Greg Abbott is honestly overperforming my expectations, especially at this point. At this point, I expected there to be a lot longer of a time with Beto O'Rourke in the lead. But Greg Abbott is really pulling through it. And I never really viewed Greg Abbott as an extremely strong candidate. I just think he's done well for Texas, and that's going to earn him a lot of points. But he's holding on. He's doing very, very well. Let's check in on some of these districts, these House districts in Texas. A lot more of them have been called. Dan Crenshaw's obviously been called. He'll be holding on for a lot longer. But we'll see what happens next primary season if he gets to hold on any longer than that. House District 7 could be something. Obviously, we're going to check in on 34. We gotta, with our girl, Mayra Flores. So far, V. Gonzalez is in the lead, but it is not a blowout yet. He's only 10,000 votes ahead and 10 percentage points ahead. So that can go anywhere. Remember, that was a race that went from lean D to toss up to lean R. So, with only 58% of the vote in thus far, this still is anybody's race, even though he looks to be having a bit of a lead, Vicente Gonzalez. Mayra Flores is still very much so in this and has made herself a very well-known national figure in American politics, which means that she has some fantastic name recognition down there on top of the incumbent mark next to her name. Although Gonzalez also has one, which means, is he running from another district or something? I think that might be the reason why. I don't know. I'll check in on that a little bit later. I'm maybe a bit confused. Y'all are telling me that there's something happening in Georgia. So let's take a peek here to see if... So NBC still has Walker not in the lead, but it has them basically neck and neck, neither at 50%, both at 49%, with Warnock slightly ahead at 49.1. If we check on Fox, we might get slightly different results here on 2022, if we could, please. All right, so let's refresh this just to make sure this is up to date, and then go to Georgia, please. Yeah, so Fox has Walker at 49.5%, and Warnock at 48.5%. Holy crap, Fox is really bullish on Walker being ahead with the numbers they have. And their numbers are a lot more advanced than NBC, so I tend to respect Fox a bit more with their numbers in regards to Georgia here, so that's why I have them here. They have Walker at 1.5 million, 1.548 million, and Warnock just at 1.517, which is extremely painful to hear for Warnock, the incumbent, who really was looking quite favored for a good period of time. Oh, the numbers are updating as we speak. 49. Nope, the leads are holding. The leads are holding. So 49.58 to 48.53. Insane. And wow, Oliver with 2% of the vote. I tell you, these third-party candidates hold a lot of the power, let me tell you. So obviously we have a bit of a discrepancy here between NBC and Fox, and that's going to be something that needs to be monitored. But I respect this quite heavily. I respect this a lot. So that's interesting there. Obviously, the gubernatorial race has yet to be called by NBC. And let's take a look on the gubernatorial side as well, actually, for Georgia. I don't think Fox has called it yet with Kemp, which is really interesting, even though he has a solid 200,000 vote lead in front of Abrams. He overperformed, in my opinion. I did not expect him to be doing that well. And, these are both have them quite a bit ahead. Both numbers are, a bit off, but Kemp is at 53.6 to 45.8, according to NBC, and slightly different numbers, 53.7 to 45.6. So, wow. Yeah, Fox says Kemp is doing even better than NBC says. Both races still have yet to be called, though, which is a very interesting choice, especially with 77% of the vote in. So time is running out for any last-ditch efforts to be made by Stacey Abrams, and time is running out for Warnock to avoid being taken to a very deadly runoff. Because as most expect, even if Warnock is able to hold on to a runoff, he's not going to make it out of that runoff. Most people do not expect that. And with Walker at 49.5, he is mere inches away from maybe even comprising a runoff-proof lead. So that could be something very, very fascinating that many are not expecting. Many may not be expecting that. Now, let's check in on some other races happening that up until now have had next to no results, and I'm tired of it. I want results, and I want them now. Arizona, what are you doing? Okay? Nothing? Are you serious? Mark Kelly, 0. Katie Hobbs, 0. Carrie Lake, 0. Blake Masters, 0. Your polls closed an hour ago. What? Oh, Caden TV says, "Hey, just voted in Alaska. Palin, first time. Congratulations, Caden. I voted for the first time today as well too. So that's very, very exciting." Lynette says, "Chandler is the best election night commentary I've seen tonight." Wow, that's a really strong compliment. If you like what you're seeing tonight, definitely make sure you support the show with the links right up there. You just use your phone, you scan in the code, it'll take you to a link to donate to support our show. We have people that have donated to support before, and I appreciate each and every one of them. It's a new month now, so we've reset everything. If you guys want to support the show, there is no such thing as super chat for our channel, so if you want to support us, your only option is our donor box, which is linked in the description. It'll take you to a website that looks like this. You just hit the donate option, you select your amount, and say, best election night commentary out there, and then you hit your number and you type in all your information. You can make it a monthly or a one-time donation. Either one is fine, and it will have you added to our list. You can be anonymous if you want, but if you send a message or anything like that, I'll read it out loud, I'll answer your questions, all of that good stuff. So if you want to support the show, all those options are available just right up there. We also, of course, support Cash App donations, which you just using your Cash App or your phone, you scan that code and it'll directly take you to my Cash App profile where you can Cash App and donate directly through. And keep in mind, none of this money goes to YouTube or anything like that, so that's the best thing. And then last but not least, if you're watching us over on Rumble, we of course support Rumble Rants as well, which is your way to directly support us. Very much like Super Chats, except I haven't been banned from them. In the meantime, shout out to all the people we have over on Rumble, Dare Dad and Eartho. Dare Dad says, "Dare Dad here for this important day." And Eartho says, "Did the government win yet?" Come on, man. Oh, that's good. That really is good. Let me reset my chat here so it's making sure that it's popping up on everything. All right, there we go. Great. Okay, cool. Let's switch back over and keep an eye on things. Somebody said something, Oz at 46 and Arizona having issues. I know, man. JD Vance up at 53. I'll have to confirm that. But okay, finally. Dang. I was ready to throw hands with Arizona. Okay, we're finally getting results in Arizona, and holy crap. Wow. Okay. Yes, that's why. I was wondering, because I was saying to myself, there's no way that Kari Lake and Blake Masters actually have a lead. Like that's not really what's supposed to happen at the beginning. What's supposed to happen at the beginning is the Democrats supposed to be many points ahead, and they're going to be like, ha, Democrats are winning, everybody loves them, and then Republicans kind of sweep in later on. But the main reason, Maricopa has 0 votes in. No votes from Maricopa County, the most populous county in the state of Arizona, comprising of the city of Phoenix, Arizona. No votes. No votes. Kari Lake is in the lead with 58.1, Blake Masters at 54.6, with 7% of the vote in. Wow. That is something right there. You know what? I'm happy Arizona's doing something. Let's check on Secretary of State as well. Mark Fincham in the lead as well. Good things. And Attorney General. Yep. Abe Hamadeh. Good. Okay. Very well. So all the Republicans are in the lead so far, but that's mostly because none of the state places that would normally have any Democrat votes whatsoever are even having anything come through yet. Maricopa County has nothing. Nothing. Okay, y'all are flooding the comments with results from other places. All right, fine. We'll check back in Arizona later. Since nobody cares about Arizona, we now have another GOP call for a Senate seat. Kansas has been called for Jay Moran, and Oklahoma seats, both of them have gone to their Republican respectives. So very, very interesting things right there. But you guys obviously want to hear about what's going on in the gubernatorial races in Texas, because y'all are talking about it like crazy, as well as the Senate race in Pennsylvania. So we'll pull that up on this screen. Left is Texas. Greg Abbott is at 53.5, holding strong with his lead, doing very, very well. We'll check in on J.D. Vance in Ohio as well. And then Pennsylvania, Mehmet Oz is fast approaching John Fetterman. He is outperforming what I expected. And we have 45% of the vote in Pennsylvania so far, with still a lot of these red counties on the western side not even fully reporting everything yet. Warren only has 17.5% of the vote in, which is why it looks blue, but it's not actually a blue county. And some of these other places have no votes in at all. So it's like, wow. And these are the places, let's take a look at Philadelphia, 29.1%, 73%. Okay, so Pittsburgh, most of the votes in Pittsburgh are predicted to have already been counted by now. Harrisburg, well, not really, no, not most of them. So there's still a lot of votes left to come, more than half. But Mehmet Oz is starting to shrink that gap.